just us monsters. Lucky for Banner I showed up, because he'd be a smoldering pile of ashes by now.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books, I love talking about them, I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. Also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for these issues. So I am repackaging some of the older Hulk videos that I've done, and I'm going to be doing a kind of like a trade, if you will, and I'm going to be covering the first part of Peter David's run on Hulk with Todd McFarlane. So this is going to include Hulk 331 through 339, and we got this cover here by Steve Geiger with Jim Sanders as the inker. Before McFarlane sort of becomes Todd McFarlane, okay? So you're going to see some of his tropes are in there. And here is Peter David. This is his first issue as the permanent writer. So Peter David had written not the previous issue. He didn't write 330, but he wrote 329. And then so he's finishing up the story that was originally done. So if you've seen some of McFarlane's Hulk, it takes a while before we get there, okay? And this is just his pencils as somebody else is inking. I missed the credits. Kim DeMulder is the inker. So it kind of does pick up. So Rick Jones, who is the Hulk, by the way, this is Rick Jones. He has escaped the Gamma base. So the Hulkbusters, who is this group of people that were put together to go after the Hulk, they begin to mobilize to chase the Rick Jones Hulk. So what we have here now is Bruce Banner is going to offer to expose himself to the gamma rays and become the Hulk again so that he can capture Rick. But of course, Becky is just shocked that he would even suggest such a crazy things. And Bruce quickly does agree with her and does agree that it is a bad idea. So again, here we have the Hulkbusters here, and they turn their attention to the body of Thaddeus Ross. He is, of course, Betty's father. And General Ross had sacrificed his life to stop the Nevermind, who was the villain or the main bad guy in the previous issue. So Clay Quartermain, who is this the blonde guy here, he is thinking that, he better call the local morgue in order to deal with the body, because he fears reprisal from S.H.I.E.L.D. He is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. So Clay's going to send off the Hulkbusters to hunt down the new Hulk, but Armand, who is this guy right here, is disturbed with Larat, who is this guy right here. He's obsessed with just trying to get the Hulk just destroyed. So now we get Quartermain, who's calling the local morgue, and they agree to pick up the body from Gamma Base, and the man in charge here tells him to bring their new employee Stearns. So Stearns, who we can see here, is actually the leader, who is trapped in sort of a human form. The driver is a little because Stearns just acts strangely with is because again he is the leader. So the Hulkbusters, they're searching for Rick Jones, but here's the thing: they don't know that Rick Jones is the Hulk at this time. So, but they will soon. Um, but we know as readers that it is Rick Jones who is the Hulk. And here in at the monitor area, Bruce, who's right here, and Betty, who's right here, are sort of um, arguing, or he's being pressed. Betty wants him to take some time off from Hulk hunting so they can have some time alone. Um, Bruce again brings up the idea of willingly transforming himself into the Hulk, and Betty is just shocked when she learns that Bruce has done this to himself in the past. Betty's upset to hear that the man that claims that his life as the Hulk was such a nightmare would willingly inflict the transformation upon himself, regardless of the circumstances. The Hulkbusters kind of radio in as they continue to argue. They're still, they're saying they haven't found anything, but suddenly, of course, they do find the Hulk, and he's taken Hideko's ship. This is a very cool panel here. Notice if, like I said, the things aren't there yet. The nose, the brow, but they'll come. So they're engaging the Hulk basically, and she needs to get the Hulk off her. And he's gonna destroy the ship, and Banner is yelling for Rick to let go and not to let the Hulk win, and asking her to let her go. And this right here, I don't know who this is. If this is if this is Larat or whatever, but they're gonna try to see if they can goes into do some fancy flying, and they're gonna go through this thing here and hit him, or through that cliff. So they let go, and now they're gonna shoot. So at during this time, they had created the Hulkbusters to destroy the mindless Hulk. There was a time that Bruce Banner and the Hulk had been split, and the Hulk was mindless. But this is different now. And John Byrne was the creator in charge during that short run, after he had left Alpha Flight. So, and Betty is as Stearns and the assistant have come to take away the body. You can see how distraught she is. So when Bruce tries to console Betty, she angrily tells him to stay away from her. He had promised a better life, but of course, they're not. His assurances are met with skepticism. He decides, I started this and I'll finish it. Bumps into Stearns accidentally, and Stearns sees the Hulk in there, and he thinks this will give him the power that he needs. He's trying to become the leader again. He's told by his coworker to get moving, so he complies, and they load General Ross in there, and you see this little wrench, and of course, don't show something unless you're gonna use it. So we know that something's come up. this guy's like, oh, I'm gonna be retiring soon and I don't have to deal with any of this, and notices that they're going a different way. um Real quick, you can really see McFarlane, the penciler, just becoming really, into himself. The way the panels are composed, not quite yet, but you know, it's all in there. Once he starts inking himself, things get really really good. So anyway, so he's admonishing the leader, what she doesn't know is the leader, and he's like, whatever you say, and then suddenly bam 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 bam. So because these are comic books, we don't know, we're not showing if he kills the guy or just knocked him out to sleep, but we can probably assume that he's probably not doing well here. It would have been nice to see like a little bit of blood. So he just says, hey, go back in the back and be quiet or I'll get rough. So we will assume he's still alive, but you never know. During this time, kids still read comic books, and a lot still do. So this is always all like PG. So a quick disclaimer, and I should have just said this at the front. I own all these issues. Every issue that I'm showing you, even though I'm showing them to you digitally, I actually own them. I actually have 2 copies of this issue. I have a good copy, and I actually have some readers' copies, which are pretty beat up because I really read this so much. I love Todd McFarlane, and I did what a lot of high school kids do. So I also have the John Byrne run, which which was about 2 years before this. So this guy here is a John Byrne creation, and he is looking for Betty. His name is Ramon. His name is actually Ramon Morales, I believe, and he is her husband. So he's looking for them, and this guy says, oh, she's at the base, I saw her in the news, and she had apparently married some other guy. So, which of course then he's like, nope, I'm her husband. So we'll see here what ends up happening. So back in the desert, so this is in New Mexico, and he is the Hulkbusters, and the Hulk are basically going at it, and the Hulk jumps up and rips his hand through the ship, grabbing him in the ankle, and basically crushes it. And they we just gonna have a pretty standard Hulk fight coming up here. So they know he's Rick Jones, so they don't want to kill him, or at least this person, one of them, doesn't want to kill him. There's just too many people. I keep forgetting who everybody is, so you'll forgive me here. But I think Armand is the one that sends this electrified net. But the Hulk quickly whips the net back into Sender's ship, and basically is free from it, and then punches the ship. So he needs to eject, and he does, but unfortunately it's too low, so he lands very hard, probably broke his leg, but at least he did not die. And so the Rick Jones Hulk is essentially just destroyed them. So the Hulk basically leaps away, and they convince, Larat wants to go after him, but they convince not to keep pursuing Rick. So at this moment they stop. So Bruce had like another secret base, and he drives up to it, and he is convinced himself that he needs to become the Hulk in order to bring in Rick Jones. So he uses the gamma projector to become the Hulk once again. Now, this is the Grey Hulk, as he had been the Grey Hulk prior. But this is the return of the Grey Hulk, essentially. And he had been tricked, essentially, by the Grey Hulk. The Grey Hulk had influenced him and used that influence to convinced him that he needed to be the Hulk. So I can't imagine how great this panel would have been if McFarlane would have drawn it the way he draws the Hulk now, with the big brow. But you can still see, it's coming. So the transformation, you will see McFarlane's Hulk just really, really, really change how he draws him. So, and he doesn't want the process to be undone, so the Hulk destroys that device to make sure he never turns back. And of course, Stearns is so upset because this is what would have turned him back into the leader. And when the Hulk grabs him, he does tell him that it is him. And he tells him that if he can help him restore his lost powers, and he will help him restore, and he will assist in Rick Jones returning back to human. So we're going to be looking at Hulk 332 and 333 from 1987, written by Peter David and drawn by Todd McFarlane. Now, this is Todd McFarlane before he started inking himself, so it is an older. He did not do this cover, by the way. So here we have the Grey Hulk against Rick Jones, and sort of here we have a figure that we can kind of tell by the way the head is who that person is. And if you've been following, I have started from the beginning with the Todd McFarlane Hulk run, so I have issues 330 and 331 already down, and I do have a Todd McFarlane playlist. Real quick, the cover, as I said, is not by Todd McFarlane. It's Bob McLeod is the inker. I do not know who this penciler is, so I do apologize about that. You can follow me on social media. Links are in the description below, and I also have a link to the Marvel fan base, the wiki page, and you can get like who the characters are that appear in this issue and backgrounds on them and all that kind of stuff. So I do apologize for my voice being a little hoarse. I'm a huge college football fan. My favorite team is the Florida State Seminoles, and they played LSU yesterday to kick off the season, so it was pretty exciting. So we have the Grey Hulk here, who made his return last issue, and he is trying to put that machine that he wrecked together again. He's yelling at Bruce Banner here, and here's the credits, and John Workman, who is one of my favorite letterers, is the letterer of this. So the leader is trapped in this individual right here, and so like I said, the leader is trapped in as a normal human being, and the Hulk agreed to turn him back into the leader in exchange for curing Rick Jones. Now, real quick, this is early on in McFarlane's career, so I know you're used to seeing the Hulk when you look at illustrations on Google's with the brow, but that's gonna come later. So here the the guy tells him to calm down, and we all know calm down doesn't work. He picks him up and says, why should I? Um, so so during this time, the Hulk changes to Bruce Banner during the day, and he gets to be Hulk at night. Um, so he was gonna he you know the Hulk, the Gray Hulk is a little bit uh mean, as you could say. He's a mean little cuss. So he threatens him and says, why shouldn't he get rid of him and go on his own? So he throws him back. The leader tells him he'll never succeed on his own, and he needs them. The Hulk says, of course, that is a laugh here, that meaning he's joking. He says, maybe back when you were super intelligent, but now he's basically a nobody. Hulk asked him what happened to him. He says that it basically wore off. The leader basically says that he didn't know that he could revert back to his human self. Hulk always went back to Bruce Banner, and it never dawned on him that he was able to go back to being a normal person again. He says that by the time he realized what was going on, he had already, a lot of the genius, a lot of the brains had already uh, escaped him. So he couldn't even operate all his machinery. So he went back and had to get money wherever he could. Here he's showing either A, he killed this man, or the guy sleeping, he took his money. So the coloring of this is a little off. So he tells him that he doesn't understand what it took for him to come crawling to his enemy for help, because he needs Bruce Banners. And he says, you will help me or I'll, and Hulk says, you'll what? And you can see Hulk all threatening. And then he says, I'll force you, to which Hulk just laughs about that. So we're at the Gamma base in New Mexico here, and Ramon has arrived. And if you remember on my previous issue, he is Betty's husband, and he's demanding that she come out. And so the guy keeps calling him Chico, and he's like, my name's not Chico. Anyway, he tells him he can't do that and tells him to go away, which he pushes him and decides to go through, and he tells him be nice. And he takes out his knife, and of course, this is a military police, and he kicks him out. Because it's comic books, because in real life they probably would have arrested him. But here he gets rid of him here. So inside the Gamma base, this gentleman here sitting on this chair is John Larat. I don't know whether Peter David thought it'd be, I don't know if it's like a nod to Night Court during that time, but anyway. So he, of course, had his leg broken by the Rick Jones Hulk, and he still wants to go into action to stop the Hulk, but they're basically tell him that he needs to recover from his injuries. You can see he's not taking it very well here. He wants to basically go back in. He's designed a gun that can basically kill the Hulk, and when they try to stop him, he is none too pleased. And you can see that he aims the gun at one of his friends, and they're like, he had to have been bluffing, and then of course they said he isn't. And of course, this is Dr. Leonard Samson, or Doc Samson. His hair is supposed to be green, but I think this is a coloring mistake. So he does not have blonde hair. He has green hair. So what's been going on is that Larat blames everyone except himself for the death of his wife, and particularly the Hulk. And that sort of man. So it's supposed. I think this is like a greenish color, but man, oh man, they really kind of screwed it up on the coloring for it. This the Hulk just says that everyone just. It's like the rage of the Hulk makes everyone even worse than they really are. So Dr. Samson says he's done in the infirmary and he is time to go into action as well. I really love McFarlane's vertical panel. So this one here, I like how he employs vertical panels here. So he wants to make Larat basically listen to reason. So and here is Alan Quartermain, who's one of the Shield people, trying to talk to Larat. Um, I'm sorry, this isn't Quartermain. This is just a guard, basically, that Larat convinces him to let him go, basically. So, um, or no, I'm so sorry. It is Quartermain. Oh, too many characters. I sometimes just the thing. So either way, and by the way, this is supposed to be Larat, who's Caucasian. So it kind of threw me off because the coloring's just not right. The hair. So whoever colored this did not do a very good job. So now it looks like it's daytime. And this is Rick Jones, who has turned human again. He has the same issues as the Hulk. He's Hulk during night, and during the day, he's a person. So, and inside, in here, is Bruce Banner, who's the same way. He's wanting to be let out, but of course, he can't move this rock here. So Bruce realizes, kind of goes through, but eventually he comes to the conclusion that only Rick Jones can rescue him since he knows where these caves are and hopes he can show up. And of course, he is going to there, but then here comes Larat, who is going to try and basically kill him. As you can see, they're shooting at him. You can see a lot of McFarlaneisms, so it's kind of cool that the penciling kind of, you can still see there. It's definitely in there. So of course, Rick Jones is trying to get away, but Larat is like, "No, man, you're not going anywhere." Of course, he mentions his wife. He's basically gonna teach him a lesson here for trying to kill his wife, and is in pursuit when suddenly, boom, Doc Samson is hanging on to the tank. Says, "You're not gonna kill an innocent person." So, man, this coloring job is pretty bad. So he then shoots at Doc Samson, who picks up and destroys the tank. He says, "You're lucky I'm a psychiatrist," and is going to basically talk to him. I like this part. He understands, so because of that, he's only gonna knock half his teeth. So, and so he is going to now change into the Hulk, and of course, he's sort of dreaming. That's kind of how they're using the thing. So he's basically being absorbed by the Hulk, which is just how it's projected, because they're fighting each other in the mind. So, and the Hulk returns because it's nighttime. So he gets out, and Stern was also trapped in there because he also could not get out. So the Hulk then tells the leader that he took from Banner what he needs. So it's time to go. So Doc Samson is still arguing with Larat, and Benny gets a call, and she thinks it's Bruce, and then turns out that it's Ramon, and she's she doesn't know how she found him. That part of her life is over, and then when they say what's up, she says wrong number, but that's not good enough for him. So Rick Jones, Hulk, and now the Bruce Banner Hulk are here, and the two are gonna fight. The rules of comic books gotta have a little story, but you also have to have some action. That is Marvel Comics 101. Or comic books 101. Good comic books. You still have to have action in a comic book. And particularly superhero comic books. So regardless of the story and everything, you still need to get to these parts because that's what people want. So this Hulk is a little bit dumbed down, kind of like how the Green Hulk was in other areas. So he's not as intelligent as the Gray Hulk. So, and the two kind of continue fighting. But seems that the Gray Hulk got the upper hand, and what he's basically going to do is he's going to basically swap the gamma from Rick and put it in the leader. So, and the Green Hulk has recovered and goes back to fight Hulk. And the Rick Jones and Bruce Banner Hulk continue fighting. So he does the whole thing where it just goes from one to the other. So here we see the leader, and this is a different type of his brain. You can see it's different from what you know the leader as. So you can see here Rick Jones has now turned back to human, and the lab explodes. And so now we're going to go to issue 333. Again, this is not a Todd McFarlane cover. But I do like it. It's a very good cover. So I love the red background, and just looks so awesome. So this issue is extremely good. So I always tell everybody that I own all the comics that I show. It's just I show them digitally because it's so much easier. But when I first read this, I was like, "Wow, damn, this is a good story." So I hope you like this one. So we see a woman who's been crying here, and you can see someone just saying, knock it off. So, and you can kind of tell what's going on here. You got no business complaining. What happened last night, you brought it on yourself. I'm tired of your complaints. And he's shaving. You can see that this is a battered wife. So that's kind of what we're dealing with here. We didn't really see it here because we just showed the one eye. And it turns out that the other. So you can see here that she's been she's being hit by her husband. So he says, it's her fault for basically he wanted to go for a drink with his men after the kind of day that we put in. If she just were more reasonable, they wouldn't have these misunderstandings. So she, of course, grabs the gun and aims it at him and says, Blair, what are you doing? Um, he he even blames her for shaving her legs with his. And anyway, bam, and then she smiles, and she's really thinking it because it didn't happen. That's what this blank is that she thought it, but she didn't. And the husband's like, "What are you doing?" And takes the uh, gun away from her. The gun, of course, was unloaded because he kept it unloaded. Peter David's stories have such a really. People always accuse him of always trying to be funny, and he sort of is, but he brings a great level of humanity and a great, and not humanity as in, but he really gives you real life situations and dirty. I mean, you can see here the husband again, and he's drawn very big and strong, and um, smacks her, and uh um those are the kind of stories that he does and he did throughout his Hulk run. It's not just Hulk smash and whatever whatever. He Peter David truly brought a realism that you just normally don't see from Hulk issues and Hulk stories. Most of the time you deal with over the top destroy and this and that, but Peter David, there'll be issues. Hopefully I get to cover them. I just don't know. He wrote so many. He wrote, I think, 12, 15 years worth of Hulk. So quite a bit of them. Of course, the husband leaves. Basically, it's her fault. It's essentially what's going on. So here are credits. We no longer have for a letterer. We no longer have John Workman. Todd McFarlane is still just the penciler. Has a different inker here. But you can see the Hulk is starting to change, even from the previous issue. Whether or not it's the inker cleaning it up or whatever, but you're starting to see a little bit of the ears. You're starting to see the brow getting a little bit more defined. So definitely, and the nose. Remember the nose? If you remember in here, you can definitely see it better defined. So we're starting to get the Hulk that most of us recognize, little by little. And so here he is busting through that cave where he was, and here's Rick Jones. So a great, putting the title page in here as part of that's really cool stuff. So and so we see Rick Jones there and Hulk kind of leaving him. Rick's just happy that he's still alive, and then realizes that it's nighttime and he hasn't changed back into the Green Hulk. Rick says, "Great, I'm cured, and now we can cure you," which the Hulk doesn't take very kindly. He's like, "I don't want to be a puny pink weakling like you." So again, look at how much more defined the Hulk is becoming, just even from the previous issue. So it's really cool, if you remember just what he looked like just last issue, and now you're starting to see that evolution here. He basically wants to stay the Hulk all the time, and he wants to get rid of Banner. Basically, that deal with the leader is to get rid of Banner so he can remain Hulk forever. But of course, with the equipment damaged, that can't happen. And the Hulk can't find the leader, so either he's dead or disappeared. So now he's stuck, still being Bruce Banner. Rick Jones says, there has to be a trace of Bruce Banner because he used his own body to shield him, which of course the Hulk says, "That's ridiculous. You just happen to be in the right place at the right time." So he says, that first explosion created him, so I guess now we're even. So the Hulk takes off. Like how he says here, "Next time I see you, I'll step on you." So the Hulk wants to go away because dawn is coming in the daylight. So he wants to make sure that he goes somewhere where Banner won't be able to get away. And Rick gets into that ambulance and finds the dead body in the back. So, and if you've been reading along with me from the beginning, then you'll know that this is the partner of Stern's who killed him. But there's no blood here. And remember, he beat him up with that wrench. So surprised that there's no blood here. Great drawing of Hulk here. Great. I love this. We still have McFarlane doing normal panels. So Hulk says he can hear Banner, and he's getting sick of all the whining that Banner does. Hulk says, what about his life? That the strong should be the ones to survive, and it's just unbelievable that he has to put up with someone as puny, being as puny as Banner. He has to find a way to deal with Banner, and he just doesn't know what to do. And he sees this liquor store, says, "Now we're cooking." He breaks through the glass, and he says his system basically will burn through the alcohol, so he needs to drink so much that there's a buzz for when he turns into Banner to make sure. So he drinks and drinks and drinks and drinks so that when he turns into Banner, then Banner's drunk. So, and the sun is coming out. I love how they show just the rays and then leaving this portion just blank. And he's like, "Whoa, I feel woozy." And of course, he's changing back, and he hopes that he made and he changes back to Banner. And of course, look who is here. That guy was a cop. So that, and Bruce Banner's drunk, so he falls down. You can't believe such a scrawny guy was able to drink all that. So Rick arrives at the Gamma base, and everybody is waving their weapons at him. So we get a little recap, and Betty finds out that Bruce turned into the Hulk again. Real quick, something that a lot of people do, it's not just McFarlane. So you see how there's no backgrounds here or here? Because he's establishing there. Once you establish backgrounds, you sort of don't really need them. You just need to establish a background at least once in the page, so that people can so you can leave this and this panel alone, because you've got backgrounds here, and then you still have them here. But you shouldn't make everything, without backgrounds. But so anyway, so Betty finds out that he's the Hulk again, which she doesn't take too well. And so she gives him a message, and it's Ramon, and then he puts X with an exclamation point. He's gonna be at this Christie's bar, so she's looking at it. Remember, she's mad at Bruce, so we kind of have 50-50 of what she's gonna do. So, and so at the house now, the wife who was beaten up is reminiscing about how nice her ex-husband used to be, how he would stand up for the weak, and how what a great person he really, really was. So, and they got married, and she thought she was just the most fortunate woman in the world. Real quick, while I continue, just this is something that McFarlane does really, really well. Is putting the person who's talking or thinking just in one whole thing. Just kind of, I really do enjoy that. So all this started because she is not able to have children, and it became anger. He just started to take that anger on her and become so very abusive and very all that. So all that is because he's not, she's not able to have kids. So she decides she's gonna do the thing and run away. So she, of course, has a suitcase packed and, of course, stuff in there because she's packing in a hurry. So she wasn't able to put it away. So she is leaving. So Bruce Banner, of course, has been sort of sleeping all day, and he's kind of still woozy, and it's kind of remembering all the stuff that happened. And real quick, I love these vertical panels. I'm so impressed by people who are able to do the drawings in vertical. Frank Miller is a great example of doing vertical panels here. And Bruce Banner is remembering the stuff that the leader told him. It says it's sort of like how he turned into Hulk in the beginning. So Bruce Banner is remembering. Love this panel up there with the moon and the sun and him in the middle. He says he's only able to change at Hulk into the night because the radiation of the sun keeps the gamma at bay. So, which I think is a good explanation. So, I love just the whole composition there. Look at that. So, good stuff in there. So, basically, it says why he is able to turn from one to the other and why those changes occur at night. So because the moon reflects some of the sunlight, he says the darker the better. So when the radiation is not there. Now there's a little fault of this because why wouldn't you just like a dark room? He doesn't turn into the Hulk in dark rooms. But hey, it's comic books. We're not gonna overthink it. So the plan is to get rid of Banner on like a new moon. So eventually, Bruce Banner does wake up. Bruce is saying, hey, you gotta call Gamma Base immediately. He keeps telling them, they need to call, and of course the guy doesn't take him seriously and rattles his bars, but it's too late. Nighttime is coming, and again, vertical panels, very cool. And suddenly, he's turned into the Hulk. So the other guard shoots him, which of course does nothing to the Hulk, pushes him aside. The guy punches him. He's like, oh, that's not bad. Can you take it too? And then boom. And so she's falling down. Now here, of course, we see the wife who was getting away, and she sees him, and he sees that she's about to leave, and he's like, oh my gosh. And then he takes out his gun, and here comes Hulk. And of course she's yelling at him to get away from him, and she's like, shut up, Blair. And Hulk notices, oh, you're a tough guy. And so he's gonna try and fight the Hulk, and just hits him, and Hulk, of course, does nothing. Just basically emasculating the guy. Takes the pipe, rips it. And the guy tries to punch him. He's basically saying, you're trying to humiliate me. And he's trying to say, he's not afraid of him. And he goes, well, you should be. And and that is essentially what the Hulk is trying to do. And I think Peter David is doing it because of how bullies and the town people are all happy, and they're like, kill the bum and this and that, and she's remembering the good that he was, and sees the Hulk kind of speeding on him, and the guy's all like, "Oh my gosh," and these people are all like, finish him," and Hulk is like, "Oh my gosh, it looks like, that guy's the real monster." And of course she pulls up the gun and tells him to get away from her husband. And Hulk basically tells her, that won't hurt him, and he's like, "I made a promise a long time ago." Hulk basically says, "I can see it, that you let me get rid of him for you." And she says, "Go to blazes," which means go to hell. But you couldn't say that back then. I truly wish they would go back to this. I don't know why. Just because I grew up with it, I wish they would go back to blast instead of damn, and go to blazes instead of hell. There's just, I don't know. It's mostly because I grew up with comic books like that. So, and Hulk basically says, "Oh, tough lady. All right, he's all yours." And she walks away and says, "Come on, we got to get you in a hospital." And of course he's like, "I don't need your help. I don't need you simpering me in front of the whole town. You embarrassed me in front of everyone, blah blah blah, this and that." And says, "Give me that gun." And suddenly, bam, and he's dead. And she goes, "I didn't mean to." Hulk stares at her and says, "Sure you didn't." And so the Hulk, of course, now leaves smiling, and he tells, in his head, that to Banner, he says, "There's monsters everywhere." So now we're at the bar, and so it's been 2 hours, and he says, "Well, I guess she's not coming." So finally he's leaving, and there she is. And so she basically is going to go along with him, and says, she basically, he wants him to make her feel special, and he of course says, "That's what I do best." So we're looking at 2 issues today. We're going to be looking at Hulk 334 and 335, written by Peter David and drawn by the one and only Todd McFarlane. This is before McFarlane took over at Spider-Man, so this is more of a crude Todd McFarlane. I also have a playlist below if you would like to check the previous ones that I've covered. I plan on covering his entire run, and then I'll probably skip a couple issues here and there because Peter David wrote Hulk for a long time. So we've got this cover. McFarlane did not, sorry, I went too fast. McFarlane did not do this cover. I believe it was Steve Geiger. So here we go. So McFarlane does not provide the art. He is simply the penciler, and the credits will be coming up. But we're resurrecting a character, and already he's got a code name called Half-Life. And this individual says he's late, and says, well, he's had a lot of practice. Good use of blacks. I loved also the use of zipatones in the background. So Jim Sanders is the inker. Peter David, of course, is the writer. This is early in his taking over for the Incredible Hulk. But something to just kind of hear: Jim Shooter was still the editor-in-chief at that time for maybe a year or two. But then, of course, he was unceremoniously fired at Marvel. And Bob Harras is currently the editor-in-chief at DC Comics. So he was also the former editor-in-chief at Marvel for a while, and then he also had taken over. So Bob Harras is actually a big deal here. So we got Bruce Banner up here. The Hulk put him there. So if you remember, he's the Hulk during the night and Bruce Banner during the day. And what happened is Hulk drank a lot of alcohol to kind of keep Banner out of commission here, so he wouldn't be able to, seek help and all that. So, but this day he was not able to do that. So the Hulk was kind of ran out of time. So I love how he says here, such mistakes could be costly and certainly lead to grave circumstances. So love the I think McFarlane does this himself, and because this is very similar to in Spider-Man. So you can see here this helicopter's coming and Bruce Banner's seeking help. So the helicopter's pilot is called McMurphy, and he's calling base and telling that there's a baked a half naked guy on one of the buttes. The guy on the radio tells him, "Don't get too close, you'll blow him off," which he does. But he hung on, and he drops him the rope ladder, and Banner catches it, and now he's gotta try and climb up. So guy says, "What were you doing there?" And Banner's like, you wouldn't believe me." So after some time here, Bruce Banner calls Gamma Base and collect. Back then, you had to long distance was not free, so it was calling collect. And Leonard Samson answers, or Doc Samson, and he asks him, "How'd you end up 500 miles away?" And Bruce Banner kind of starts to explain to him, basically gives him a recap of the previous issue. So love the calendar. That's such a staple of the 80s. He even makes a comment here, "Attractive calendar girl." So he's hoping that he might be able to whip up some kind of cure for the Hulk. Leonard Samson tells him to stay put, that he's going to send a plane to go get him. And Bruce says that the woman reminds him of Betty. And that's how you know that he's in love, because he sees her face everywhere. I love this part, the innuendo. I can't believe we actually did it. Ramon and I just, you got to go to the next panel. But that's kind of funny. So again, just a brief of a recap of kind of what had happened before then. Feel free to go to the playlist. And so she's kind of just her thoughts about, how she married Bruce, but he was so obsessed in trying to find the Hulk, or at that time they were separated. Again, feel free to go to the playlist to catch up. And so she's having conflict whether, Bruce or not, because they did get married at that, and so she's emotionally kind of dealing with that. So there was a lot of thought balloons back in the day, and I think that continued till probably the mid 90s. But it was actually a way to narrate stuff without having characters talk to each other per se. So you don't see this very often nowadays. In the comic book I'm working on, I actually did try to incorporate a little bit of the thought balloons. So Samson thinks that Banner didn't tell him everything, but he doesn't have time to worry. So he calls for Hideku, who's some of the Hulkbusters are still left there at the Gamma base. He's asking if they had time to look through Rick Jones' chromosomes. She tells him to be patient, asks Martel, and Martel says, in a moment. So here's Rick Jones, who was a Hulk at that time. Again, check the playlist. Rick Jones asking how much longer he has to stay in there. Martel says that there's nothing left of the Hulk inside Rick Jones. Hideko concurs and says that Rick Jones is Hulk free. So Rick Jones is going to get dressed. So Rick Jones, of course, doesn't want to tell Samson that the reason he's no longer the Hulk is because Banner is the Hulk again. So he's going to keep that to himself. He doesn't, he doesn't want S.H.I.E.L.D. to do stuff. Samson asks if everything's okay, and he says, yep, I'm fine. So here, some hours have passed. So Bruce is here, and this guy says, hey, the other day a person said that he was Mrs. Banner's husband, referring to Betty. And Bruce says that's can't be. Her ex-husband, she says, is Rick Talbot, who is dead. So we're at the morgue here, where we get look how big this telephone is. Goodness gracious, it's just huge. Um, he needs to call. Of course, if you remember, Lenny went out with Stern, who is the leader, a human without his powers, and that they went to go pick up a body, but now the other guy is dead, and Stern has disappeared, and feels terrible because the wife is in her 60s, and he wonders how she'll be able to survive. And then here comes another person who says, hey, I got another body for you. He says he'll get to him, just put him on the side, and gets the kid out. And then we see here very zombified kind of. The crew kind of sat down for supper, and Hideko made larmen for everyone, some kind of Japanese food. So I am unfamiliar with it. So, and here you can see Rick Jones kind of holding it, and they're teasing it. So I don't think they liked it very much because it's hard. They made the joke about it. So. And as they argue, he's like, oh, please don't turn around, because he's not going to eat it. So Bruce and Dr. Samson are kind of having a discussion where he explains about ratting out Rick as the Hulk. And then he thinks that perhaps it was the Grey Hulk kind of forcing him to do it. And the Grey Hulk was controlling him, trying to bring himself back. So he agrees that also that Rick is free of the Hulk, and Dr. Samson says, absolutely, we'll never have to worry about the Hulk. And Bruce is like, I should live so long. So everybody's here. And here's the funny thing. So he only gets a couple hours during the day. The Hulk comes out at night. You think he would be in a more of a hurry than, trying to do all these things. So Bruce asks about Betty, which is again funny that it's been hours and now he finally asks. And she says that Betty left with a guy called Ramon. And Banner kind of doesn't believe it. He says this is nonsense. He'll go get this straightened out. Rick says, let me come with you. And then Clay Quartermain is like, maybe it's best if we and if he came, and Banner declines. He says he knows best. He's her husband. It's time he started acting like it. Again, Hulk returns at night, but he doesn't seem to be in a hurry. He comes out and Rick is in a Jeep. He says he's gonna go with him. So Saunders and Larat were hurt with the Hulk, and he says that they're not really Hulkbusters and they don't want to be punchlines. And when Saunders recovers, they're gonna leave. And so now we get into town. So he checks at this hotel, and the lady says, "Oh yeah, it has to be the guy in room 12." Goodness gracious, the 80s. Um, and she says, "Yeah, that has to be him because that's what the airhead called him." And Bruce goes, "See, Rick, it couldn't have been Betty. He was with an airhead." And Rick Jones is smiling here. "Yeah, I'm relieved." And so she tells him that they're in room 12, and so he knocks on the door, and he says, "Betty, are you in there?" And Ramon opens up and says she doesn't want to see you, and he says, "But I'm gonna see her." And then Rick says, "I've never seen Bruce so pushy before," but can't blame him. And so here's Betty. Betty's a little upset, but she's kind of embarrassed of the whole situation. And Bruce is like, "Betty, I'm disappointed in you. How could you be here with this person, you know?" And she actually gets angry that he's not even jealous. He says, that she found him with another man. He's not even upset or jealous. So he asks, "Did anything happen between you two?" She says, "No." And he goes, "Well, then, there you are." So, um, here you see Ramon punches Bruce quite hard. Love the this panel here. Um, so Ramon had asked him to leave, but Bruce, of course, didn't, and so he starts to um, beat up on Bruce. Of course, if this was the 70s, he would do his green eye thing and then turn into the Hulk, because that's what sort of used to happen. But the Hulk now won't come out till nighttime period. So Ramon's like, how dare you come in here like like you're somebody. Who do you think you are?" So Bruce is like, "You don't want to know." Of course, you can see the kind of the Hulk inside. Um, Betty says, "Oh, Bruce, I'm so sorry." And Ramon's like, "See, you don't deserve you. He doesn't get mad or fight for you." Rick kind of pokes him here. He's like, "That's because he doesn't fight with his fists." And he tries to punch Rick, but Rick avoids him and then punches Ramon. And then Ramon's coming through him. Rick kicks him. I love how McFarlane pencils this, how he uses the kick. It's pretty cool. This is still early McFarlane, but he's probably been a pro for maybe two years. I think 84 is when he started, 2 or 3 years. But um, Rick Jones used to be Bucky for a time with Captain America. So, and so they're kind of carrying Bruce out. She kind of tells him part of the problem is that he's always trying to be so logical, and that's Ramon is so different from him. Highs, lows, tempers, and moods. Uh, but Bruce and her, there's no passion, and asks if he could be a little spontaneous. So he goes and gets a room at that hotel in town and grabs Betty. And so Rick Jones just kind of shrugs his head. He knows what's up. So we're back at the morgue. And so he's going to take a look now at the dead guy, but the dead guy grabs him. And then we go into another kind of, we're just kind of moving along. So they're like, he's at the bar and they're like, "Are you sure you're over 18, pal?" And and Rick Jones makes a joke. I've been 18 since I was B for born, because in Marvel, characters sort of don't age. And then he notices how dark it is, and the guy goes, "Hey, it's because the time changed." And so Rick panics and gets out. So Bruce is like, "Hey, we have to get back," and she's like, "Just cuddle for a little bit." Um, and so he's holding her, but she says, "Oh, you're trembling," and then she has her eyes closed, but then she opens it, and of course he's turning into Hulk, and she yells at him, and of course Rick Jones is coming up, and he breaks the door down, and he's like, "Oh no," and the Hulk has gotten out and appears here. The coloring, they painted everything blue, and they do that sometimes, but they really, if you see here, her hand, and I sort of missed it the first time. That's why Rick is kind of panicking there. But here's Betty's hand. So, and the Hulk went through, and great picture of the Hulk. And he's like, "I hope she's okay, because she could have been killed." But then he's like, "Hey, what do I care about?" And we're realizing here that they're kind of controlling each other. Hulk can control Bruce, and Bruce can control Hulk. So, um, so, so Bruce or Hulk says that whatever was making him weak is actually coming from that Jeep. He lands because he just couldn't stay up in the air, so he uses his clap, which causes a shockwave here, and we can see the figure still in silhouette. And he says, "What are you?" And he says, "Call me Ishmael," which is, again, it's Peter David. Peter David's trope is just to insert humor, but he's a really good writer. It's just that sometimes the humor, it's over the top all the time. So it's kind of like that fourth Thor movie where it was just a joke after joke after joke. But his name is actually Half-Life. So the reason he's called Half-Life is he's dead during the day, but he only comes out at night. And Hulk hits him and breaks his jaw. He picks it up and puts it back. So we get a little bit, and you can check out the Marvel database site here for more of his origin. But used to be an English teacher, and now this is what the Gamma has basically turned him into, a zombie-like creature, and it's made him a little crazy. So his power is kind of like that of the Parasite, Superman's enemy, the Parasite. He's basically taking Hulk's strength, and Hulk pushes him away and ends up breaking him in half. But of course that doesn't kill him. So even without, he's still controlling his limbs, and he gets rid of them and throws them. See, this is what I mean about the jokes. You've been disarmed. It's just constantly. So he tossed him what he says here, about a mile. So he can't drain too much from him, but he'll kind of get back together eventually. So we kind of get a little bit more of it, but Hulk is not really interested in it. He says, "How many of you people are in New Mexico?" He says, "Nope, this was in Colorado last year." And he just kind of pauses. He goes, "Last year?" Without, just kind of with that face there. And his strength's gone, and now he's gonna get away. So comic books are very condensed, but we're almost done with this issue here. He blames Banner for making the bomb, and Hulk just needs distance. So he traps he traps Bruce in like some kind of cave in a mountain, and he says that Hulk's getting smarter by making sure leaving Bruce where he can't escape. So he says these mountains are too close together, so there won't be any airplanes. So he thinks about kind of what Half-Life had said. He wonders why he ended up creating the gamma bomb, and so he says he hopes he finds peace. Of course, there's all his parts have kind of made their way together. So we got the end of the issue here. So we're going to do the next one real quick. McFarlane does not pencil this one, but I remember buying this issue on the supermarket. So we're going to go ahead and get it real quick here. I believe Geiger also does the... he signed it this time. Geiger and McLeod. Great cover here. It's kind of a horror story of it. So, all right. So we got a house here. We're just gonna go real quick here, where this girl is having kind of some dreams, kind of like the Boogeyman, and she kind of wakes up. She hears something, and she's goes down underneath the bed to see if she sees it. Suddenly, she something snatches her and comes from under the bed, and he hits her in the eyes. She can't see and runs out the window covering herself. Makes a mention that her parents won't hear it because they sleep like the dead, and this creature is going behind her, and she's yelling for help, and then hits something. Of course, we know who it is. It's Hulk, but she's like, please help me. There's some kind of monster behind me. And monster, no kidding. I truly wish this person would have drawn more Hulk, because I understand the style is so much different. So John Ridgway is the guest artist. He has done here it says an offbeat tale of the gray-skinned behemoth. So John Ridgway has done a lot of stuff. So most of what John Ridgway did is in England. He's a British guy, but his most famous American work is Hellblazer, that I think he did for a little bit. That's his sort of his most famous. He just did this, but man, oh man, I think his style is perfect for the Hulk. So this creature says, I saw her first. She's mine. Don't cross me. And he's like, try me, tough guy. So she's behind the Hulk, says, please don't let him hurt me, please. And the guy wonders why Hulk is trying to protect her. She's nothing. She's weak, not like they are. He senses that they're kindred spirits, and says to give her to me. It's like watching the wings of a fly getting plucked. He says, I'll even let you help. So Hulk says it'd be interesting to see how cruel someone can be, and looks at the girl, but then grabs her and says, but not this time. But just to make sure, he says, maybe next time. Of course, police showed up and yell, nobody moves, and the light causes our Spectre here to sort of disappear, and they're like, "What's going on?" So the Spectre has disappeared, but the Hulk is still there. She tells the cops that she saved them to please don't hurt him. And she says, "Okay, I won't hurt him." And Hulk laughs. You got that right. This tale is, or this story is really fun. Um, it's one of my favorites. Like I said, I bought this off a supermarket. I read this thing so many times when it first came out. Um, I must have read it 100 times when I was young. So he says Hulk here is gonna show him why he won't hurt him, and take a quick drink. So he breaks the fire hydrant and drinks water straight from the fire hydrant. And he goes, "That's better." And then he says, "Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." Of course, that's a nod to the Hulk show. So, so we're at a gas station, and during those days, we were still in the era where there was self-serve and full service. Full service was a little bit more, but they kind of did stuff for you. So this guy's working at the gas station. So, and just in conversation, so it's $10 for the gas here. So it's probably like, gosh, gas I think was under $1 a gallon in the 80s. So they asked if he knows what happened to Adria Wagner, that some stalker maniac attacked her. He says no, and kind of explains some of the, how horrible, how this is a nice town, that kind of stuff shouldn't be happening there. And he says, "Yep, that's horrible. There's monsters everywhere." So, guy gives him the money. He says, "Watch your back. Maybe the stalker's nearby. Maybe he's in the car. Maybe it's you." Then he drives off. He says, "Boy, that boy gives me the creeps." So a doctor's seeing her, but of course it's not a regular doctor. It's Bruce Banner. It's daytime. So this issue kind of does not explain how anything that happened. So this issue just kind of picks up. It's a single one and done sort of story. Doesn't really explain anything about the previous issue. So Bruce is pretending to be a psychiatrist, and he says, if he asks anything about that creature, he says that it called him Addy Addy, and the only person that calls him was a weird gas jockey, who's the one that works at of Gil, who was the guy that was pumping gas. So he says it can't be him because he was in jail, so he's not the one that could have done this. So, and just wonders how anybody can, be so cruel and so evil. And Bruce holds her hand. Bruce explains to her that everyone has a dark side, and I love it how he turns his head and the Hulk's shadow appears. So he leaves and asks her to get some rest, and she says she'll try. So, and then she says, "Hey, there's a staff psychiatrist. I thought you'd like to talk to him." He goes, "Oh, I just saw Dr. Banner. I can't, or just talked to Dr. Banner. I can't go through that again." And she's like, "Dr. Banner? We don't have a Dr. Banner on staff here." Of course, it was Bruce. So, we're showing this guy. So we do know something's up because they wouldn't show this to you. So, and so this guy's getting a lot of alcohol, and even when the person that sells you alcohol tells you drink too much, you got a problem. So, and he's walking by, and then he's getting all these scary movies here. So he's got Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and she says, "Hey, Gil, look, rent something else, a Disney movie. I'll give you half off." And he asks if Disney makes slasher films. So he's a bit weird. So he goes in here to kind of how he lives, and Bruce Banner is following him, by the way. So that's my bad. I guess I should have. So you can see here, this guy was pointing at him, and so this is so saying like this is Gil. So there's Banner, and here's Banner again. So this is my bad. And then here, and then here, here. So he keeps following the guy. So Bruce is now seeing him go in. So and he's just kind of waiting, and he's drinking, watching slasher movies. So, and Bruce is still watching and waiting, and there's the police, so he's hiding because he doesn't want them to find him. Puts in another movie. This is a VCR. If anybody's younger here, that's not from the 80s. This is before DVDs or digital. You had to actually put in like this video cassette in there. And so the guy's watching as Bruce watches him, and then he, at the same time, he's turning from Bruce to the Hulk, and it's kind of showing as he goes from Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde, and Gil falls asleep, and from inside Gil comes this specter, and so he comes out and sees the Hulk, and he says, "I'm not surprised. I knew you'd be drawn. You and I are so alike." He says, "I ought to crush you for that," and he says, "You wouldn't." And he said, "Wouldn't you like to get rid of your weaker side and not have to wait?" And Hulk tells him, "What makes you think I have a weaker side?" He says, "It's in your eyes." So Hulk takes that specter creature. I really don't know what else to call him. So he asked about why he vanished. He says that happens when Gil wakes up, but that won't happen. So he gets him nice and drunk so that he sleeps in there. So they're gonna go inside into this bar here, and it says these men here assaulted a girl months ago, and then backed each other up, and that they weren't anywhere and got away with it, and they boasted it to Gil. So he says, "You didn't want me to kill an innocent girl," which is a flaw in, he says, a flaw in his character. "But how about killing men who deserve it?" And he tells them that he says if he helps him, he can get stronger and be able to dominate the weaker side like he dominates Gil. And he says, "Well," so Hulk looks at him and says, "Well, let's see if you can take him." So he goes in there and starts disposing of them with the sharp fingernails. I love that. And the guy's like so cold, so cold. So he saves the last one. He says, "Would you like some hands-on experience?" He says, "Do it yourself. You'll be doing the world a favor." So he says, "Kill something." And he says, "All right, you talked me into it." And then the guy's like, "I never doubted you could." And then he grabs the guy. He says, "Wait, not me." And he says, "Yeah, you, because I don't care about that guy. I don't even care much about the girl, but I don't like you." And the guy gets away and ends up ripping the shirt. And he's like, "What's the matter? Not afraid, are ya?" So he's like yelling for Gil to wake up, but of course Gil's not awake. He made sure of that, and the police have arrived, and he's the thing is like, "Hey, police, help!" And then he takes one guy out, and then grabs the other one out through the window. And he's yelling, "Wake up, please, get me out of this nightmare." And of course the Hulk follows him. And he's like, oh, he's not behind me anymore. But of course now he's in front of him and crashes into Hulk. And he's like, Gil, let me in. He's like, wake up, you broken slob. So, and Hulk grabs him and says, remember I said maybe next time? Well, this is next time. He says, look at you, you're shaking. And he says, you can't do this, we're two of a kind. No, we're not, because you're terrified of me, and I just terrify. And he punches the creature through, and the creature screams. So, now we are the next day, and I think this is Bruce here. They said they should be able to restore part of her sight with modern technology. And they said that she asked if they heard about Gil Jeffers, that they brought him in, and he's in a coma. So, of course, Bruce is talking with him. He says, the stalker's gone. He's dead, but that's the problem. The evil consumed him until there was only him. No joy, no soul, overwhelming hatred. And without the hatred, there's nothing left except the shell. And then he quotes, oh my God, what is his name? William Shakespeare. Oh my gosh. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. Except, who am I to say your eulogies? Perhaps more appropriate would be, there but for the grace of God go I. So the evil that men do is from Julius Caesar. So we are going to be looking at The Incredible Hulk, number 336, from 1987. And the Hulk takes on X Factor. McFarlane is still not doing the covers, but he eventually does. I don't know what was Marvel's decision back then. He wasn't still doing the inks. He doesn't start doing the inks till issue 340. He's still not on Amazing Spider-Man at this time. So this is early McFarlane, but this cover is not by McFarlane. He does pencils the inside. So X Factor, for those of you who are unknown, are the original X-Men in a group that is not the X-Men. So, I have not covered X Factor at this time yet, because I'm covering the beginnings of the X-Men through the classic X-Men run. So it's going to take me a while, but feel free to check out the Marvel database if you are not familiar with X Factor. And like I said, links are in the description below. So, we are in Gamma Base. And so, the S.H.I.E.L.D. Council isn't pleased, Quartermain. Not at all. Did you really think you could indefinitely cover up the debacle that this entire project has deteriorated into? So, Clay Quartermain is speaking to these men in shadow. You had two simple assignments. Keep tabs on Bruce Banner and get rid of the Hulk. That was all. And so Quartermain says, sir, may I remind you in my defense that the Rick Jones Hulk is gone. I like McFarlane including all this technology, showing you all these things here. So this is early McFarlane. Like I said, he is penciling. He is not inking at this time. So, you may, Quartermain, if I can remind you that the Rick Jones Hulk didn't even exist before this entire mess began. His creation came from his plunge into the nutrient bath, which you assured us would terminate the Bruce Banner Hulk, but did not. Another failure on your part. And Quartermain's like, but. Enough, Quartermain. We of this council will be releasing this situation. It is becoming clear, however, that that Bruce Banner is at this point becoming expendable. I trust you understand our meaning. That is all. And he thinks expandable. They can't be serious. And so, extremes. So, I will be covering the Peter David Hulk run almost in its entirety. But it does begin with the McFarlane Hulk. And if you can even see from the time that it started, McFarlane's already starting with that brow that he had not, or didn't have at that time when he first took over. This is the Hulk. Yes, he's gray. Don't ask. At the moment, he's standing in an alley between two buildings. In his fury over his imminent change back to Bruce Banner with the sunrise, he has just struck one of them. In 17 seconds, that building will collapse. And you can see here, Hulk, it's not fair, and he's hitting the... So, here we have our credits here. Peter David is the writer. Todd McFarlane is the penciler. He does have an inker. But, you can see almost some of the McFarlaneism. You can see that he's... they're not inking the way you would normally see inking. So McFarlane is dashing out, and the inker is kind of just following along. There's not a lot of the details there, but you can see... it's really hard to tell you, but the feet of the Hulk are there. He always on that big toe, he always puts, I don't know, what would you call it, but he always puts in this bump right there. It does become a staple of his. When I draw the Hulk in full body and I get to his feet, I always do add that little thing right there. So the McFarlaneisms are there. You can see it on the cloth. So he's starting to try to break out. Also, you see a lot of detail that perhaps nowadays you don't necessarily see him doing. And I mean, when I meant details, I meant the details like showing you the building, the setting, the whole shebang. Although he doesn't draw that much anymore. You know, he's got that toy empire of his, and apparently that takes precedence over drawing. So, all right, so then we begin that countdown. And Hulk says, I should be the Hulk all the time. I'm the strong one. Why do I have to turn into... And, you know, the countdown goes at 12. Into 11. Banner. I'm Bruce Banner again. 10. So... Like I said, you're starting to see some McFarlaneisms, even in his pencils here. And I'm not abandoned on a mountaintop or in a desert. My luck's finally changing. And you can see the building rumbling. And the people here, it's an earthquake or something, run. So everybody's getting out of the building. And he is hit. And they're like, I don't believe it. 7, 6... 5, 4, and I'm not screwing it up. And he's grabbing Banner and picks him up. Good thing he weighs almost nothing. From the sounds of that building next to me, next door isn't going to last much. 0, and then you can see the building collapsing. Well, there goes the neighborhood, says this guy. Destruction is something that will be associated with Todd McFarlane. He does a very good job with it. So I like how he gives the guy a little bit of a belly here. He's breathing evenly. Must not have creased his skull. Good thing. He won't be worth a cent dead, I bet. Nah. Not he it. It has to be a mutant. Nothing else could just change from being a gray monster into a 90-pound weakling. And I just know those mutant hunters in New York, X Factor, will want it. I've seen all their commercials. And they must pay some sort of finder's fee. 5, 10 thou. I bet they're loaded. And man, do I need the bucks. Should I call the cops first? Nah, they'll just grab the credit for catching him. Operator, he picks up the phone. It's funny, in the 80s, you actually had to dial 0 to get an operator. So, operator, I need the number for X Factor headquarters in New York. That's right. I said X Factor headquarters. So we got Iceman, Cyclops, and this is Jean Grey. Who I don't think is called Marvel Girl at the time. I think she's just, I don't know. But the colors of the uniforms kind of follow what they were in the original X-Men when they first got not the uniform, but when they got their own separate ones. So they didn't all look like classmates. So okay, I'm ready. Are you sure, Bobby? Maybe it's a little too soon. So, real quick on Iceman. He was involved in Thor. We have not covered that. I am covering Walter Simonson's run. We will get to what happened to Iceman in the Thor. I just want to let you know that he was in Asgard and is it Malekith? It could be. I don't remember. I'll get to that. Performed some kind of experiment on him, and he just is having a hard time controlling his power. So Cyclops says, I'm certain Bobby's the best judge of his own readiness, Jean. And Iceman says, you got it, Scott. If I can't get my ice power under control, I'll be as reliable as Ivan Boskai. It must be someone from that time that I don't remember. I grew up in this time. I was probably 13 years old when this came out. So, get ready, Genie. A nice, simple ice ball coming up now. And then he throws it. He goes, oh, no, that's no ice ball. That's a Buick. So the joke of the Buick is at that time. So the Buick does, the Buick's still around, but the Buick in the 60s, 70s, and 80s was a huge car, and they were just big. Now Buicks kind of look like every other car, but back in the day, the Buick was huge. So that's the joke. All right. So because you could have just said, that's a Ford, that's a Chevy. No, the reason he says that's a Buick is just because of how big it is, because the Buicks were huge during the 80s. Jean Grey says, don't worry, Bobby. It's only your first try. It's nothing my telekinesis can't handle. Over to you, Cyclops. On it, Marvel Girl. Okay, so she is still called Marvel Girl. All right. Just have to raise my visor, and my force beam will do the rest. Jean's right, Iceman. All you need is time to get your powers back under control. So, this is Skids. She was a mutant that they took in. As to, real quick on X Factor, again, I encourage you to go to that link. They were posing as mutant hunters for taking them in. Okay, so they portrayed that they were mutant hunters, but it was, like I said, to take them in and teach them, kind of like to start. At this time, Professor X was not with the X-Men. He was over with the Shi'ar. So the X-Men were too busy being superheroes to raise, to educate. Magneto was the head of. It's complicated. Magneto was the head of the Xavier School, and the guys at X Factor didn't trust him because, of course, Magneto was a villain, or they thought he was a villain, but then he wasn't a villain at that time. But then he, of course, pro wrestling and comic books are the same thing. Bad guy today, good guy tomorrow. So, and then back to bad guy, back to good guy. So, that's what X Factor was supposed to be. So, all right. So here comes Skids and say, guys, the ready light's still blinking. out there, but this is kind of important. Is it safe? Sure, Skids, we have some falling moisture, but it's otherwise okay. I hadn't heard of any precipitation predictions about rain indoors. Good old force field, better than an umbrella. So that was her mutant power. She could get a force field around herself. What's so important, Skids? I checked out that call like you asked, psych. The one from Dick Terrence out in Sparta, Illinois. Wire service reported. I cannot believe we still had wire service in the 80s. But there was no internet. There was no email. So, wire services reported that a building really did collapse out there, just like Terrence said. No reason was given, and there was no mention of a green monster, at least in official reports. And Jean Grey says, that doesn't mean anything, though. All right, Jean and I will check it out. And Iceman says, hey, wait, I'm coming too. There's two more people who are not kind of in this issue that are members of X Factor, and they are the Beast and Angel. So this adventure is just going to have the three of them, but the Beast is there. Also, I'm a huge fan of Peter David, and Peter David will eventually be he's one of my favorite writers. He's probably my top 20, and he's really gonna find himself throughout the Hulk. So this is very early on, but Peter David does have a very good lengthy run on the Hulk, and I hope to get through all of them. It's gonna take a while, but all right. Bobby, you don't have to prove anything to us. It's not for you. I'm doing it for myself. I've got to get a hold of my ice powers again. It's my responsibility and no one else's. And I'm not going to do it hiding out here at our headquarters when X Factor is needed. All right, Bobby, if you're sure, says Jean Grey. And then he thinks, of course I'm not sure. Of course I'm sure, he says. So, I like, you could almost imagine what Todd McFarlane would be doing if he was inking this himself. So we're back in Illinois, and Bruce Banner's kind of getting up. He goes, this was extraordinary kind of you, Dick, pulling me in from that alley like that. Most people would have just left me lying there. I've been around, very few have showed me the sort of kindness you have exhibited. Though he might not be so kind if he knew I was the Hulk, he thinks. And then he's thinking other stuff, like, I wish he'd stop saying that, like, things like that. He makes me feel like a first-class creep. I mean, mutants are supposed to be inhuman monsters. This guy's about as threatening as Woody Allen. For those of you who don't know who Woody Allen is, Google him. There's some clothes on the chair for you. Coffee, Bruce? Any decaf? That's all I drink. Wuss. Hey, me too. I hate that stuff that makes me nervous. Same here. Old habit. What the heck? The inhuman monsters. Caffeine is great. Here you go, Bruce. By the way, what's your last name? Ross. Bruce Ross. And so he sees the cup that says Cubs. Cubs fan? A friend of mine, Rick, is a big Cubs fan too. You got a lot of friends? He asks. Friends, a wife, but things keep coming up, keeping us apart. Geez, a wife. Any kids? No children. And there's a knock on the door. And they're like, coming. It's X Factor, I knew it. And me feeling like a Judas. And you can see him tossing the... I know what he turned into, but for pity's sake, he's got a wife. Who am I to? And then it's a woman here named Melanie. He says, Melanie, hi, hon. So Dick says, Mel, this is a cousin of mine. And then she interrupts and says, that's nice. Dick, can we talk too? Can we have a talk privately? And Bruce is like, I can leave if... And Dick says, no, you stay put. We'll walk around for a little bit. Then I'll be back. You get some rest. And then Bruce is like, if you're sure, By the way, what town is this anyway? And he says, Sparta, Illinois. And he thinks, well, that accounts for the Spartan living conditions. So, and so he says, Mel says, your cousin doesn't know what town he's in? And Dick says, he's very confused. He's not the only one. Look, Dick, there's no good way to say this, but by the way, McFarlane is great at doing vertical panels. This is a trope of his, of him and Matt Wagner are the best at vertical panels that are out there. So, love the cat in the tree and this person trying to get him. The test came back positive, didn't it? Uh-huh. So what do we do now? And Dick says, we get married is what? I mean, it's my kid too. It's my responsibility, I mean, right? So, Dick, you're so sweet, but how are we going to live? Our jobs at Sears don't pay near enough to support a family. Oh, Sears. I got a few irons in the fire. Believe me, money won't be a problem at all. Now give me a hug, future Mrs. Terrence. So, and he ponders, well, that's it. I'm really committed to turning Bruce in. It's more than just me now. I've got a responsibility to Mel and to the baby, but I feel like a grade A creep. I'm turning somebody in for money. What does that make me? And then he's like, probably exactly how I feel. And so, back at the apartment. Yes, it's good to hear her voice too, Clay. And Clay says, we were getting a bit concerned about you, Bruce. After all, you went into town close to 2 weeks ago and we haven't seen you since. But hey, no big deal. Where are you? Well, we'll come get you. Rick Jones, he's around. Sure, I'll get him if you want to. Anything for you, Bruce. And then Bruce says, something's wrong. Nothing I can put my finger in, but Clay sounds strained, almost as if, Rick, hello? And Rick's like, hey, if it isn't Robert Bruce Banner, how you doing, Bob? And then, look, he's being surrounded by SHIELD agents. Everything's fine here in beautiful New Mexico. They want you back, no questions asked. Sure, I'm sure, Bob. I mean, it's not like I got 5 scowling SHIELD agents surrounding me or nothing. He says. All right. Rick never calls me Bob, always Bruce or Doc. He's trying to warn me, tell me something's wrong. He's trying to tell me not to come back, but how can I not come back? Bruce, Clay Quarterman here again. Look, you must have missed my earlier questions. Just where are you? I'm not quite sure, Clay, but my best guess is Seattle, Washington, he says. Can't believe even in the 1980s they can't trace the call, but... So we are in the St. Louis airport, and X Factor has this huge airplane. Never ask how you get your money. Now, I know Warren Worthington, who is the angel, is kind of springing for all this, but still, that's a ton. And they're like, wow, that plane, it's a bowling alley. Yeah, doofus, that's X Factor, the mutant hunters. Gonna kick some mutant tail, I betcha. You hear that, Scott? That stuff really burns me. And Cyclops is like, it's all part of the cover, Bobby. We knew that going in. And so we're going to get a bit of a kind of what X Factor is and all that stuff. So, yeah, well, now we're in it. It's really starting to get to me, this whole X Factor gig. We come on like Nazis, like mutants are the disease and we're the cure, to quote Sly, meaning Sly is Sylvester Stallone. I think the harm we're doing far outweighs the good. And so I kind of have to agree with Bobby, Scott. Sure, we've helped kids like Skids and Boom Boom, but at what cost? I hear what you're saying. I hate to admit it, but I've been thinking about it myself. But how can we change now? Easy, by coming across as a helpful organization rather than a bunch of tough guys. Yeah, make it clear that the mutants are not the threats, just misguided. Again, vertical panels. Like it here. Right, exactly. And we're going to guide them as it is. People think any mutant we find are immediately executed. It'll work, Scott. Let's just try a softer, more easygoing approach. Ditch the whole stormtrooper attitude. All right, people, we'll give it a try. How bad could it be? And they arrive at Sparta. Honey, I'm home. Just kidding. Bruce, hey, I brought some stuff for dinner. Hope you're hungry. And then he realized, oh no, he's gone. And so he went for a walk, is what happened. This is just what I needed to clear my head. Brisk walk, just like an ordinary person. Here's the funny thing. Nighttime is coming, and why would Hulk... I understand we're trying to tell a story, but you think Bruce Banner would be in a bit of a more hurry, like what's going to happen when the sun goes down. So he's feeling a little bit, because his life is far from normal here. So, of course, an ordinary person doesn't have such problems as to whether or not to return to Gamma Base, or if Rick's in trouble, how can I not help him? And Betty, and I'm most concerned about her having a vague recollection of being with her and then turning into the Hulk. I pray she's all right. She has to be. I couldn't live with myself if I hurt my wife. He says as he's kind of hit with the basketball. Then again, it's not myself I'm worried about living with. It's the Hulk. Here you go, boys, as he gives them the basketball. So he kind of ponders some more. We're not going to read all that, but I love the McFarlane esque panel as he's, like I said, he's trying to find his own way here. And there's a knock, and he's like, oh, he's back. Attention, Sears employees, and a Kenmore. So, hey, you gave me a real scare, he says, thinking it's Bruce. Did we? We're sorry. Hi, we're X Factor. We were hoping we could chat with you and the fellow you believe is a mutant. Oh, yeah, but first, let's talk price, he says. I'm afraid I don't understand, Mr. Terrence. Price, my finder's fee, my cut. Oh, for pities. We're talking about people here, Mr. Terrence. You can't barter for someone's life. Oh, man. Why can't we be ditch diggers or something, says Iceman. Love that. Looking up, like, desperation. If there is a mutant in there, he's probably scared, frightened. We want to help him, not buy him. Have some human compassion, Mr. Terrence. Yeah, I got compassion, but there's something I don't have. And what would that be, says Jean Grey as she kind of barters in. And so, I don't believe this. You just let him wander off? He needs our help. Think, where could he be? I don't know, anywhere. I'm sorry, I started this, okay? And Iceman is like, all right. He's gonna walk out. All this distance for nothing still. I hate to admit it, but part of me is relieved. Despite what I said to Gina Scott earlier, the thought of using my ice power gives me chills. Wish I at least knew somebody in this burg, then this thing wouldn't be a total waste. Hey, wait a minute, is that? No. And then he's like, yeah. And so, hey, Dr. Banner. And then Bruce turns around here. That's what this is. Oh, no, the uniform's different, but it's got to be S.H.I.E.L.D. They traced the call somehow. And he takes off running. And so, I can't let them take me back, not until I get all this straightened out in my mind. Hey, wait, come back. Bobby, what is it? Bruce Banner, I swear it was. And then Dick says, yeah, Bruce, that's him. It has to be the guy. But you said he was gray. The Hulk is green. How? Look, we got to get this sorted out, but the only way to do it is to catch up with Banner. And so, suddenly, Dick is like in thing. He's like, whoa, what's happening? And Jean Grey says, my TK, meaning telekinetic power, is keeping our bounty hunter off our backs. Now burn rubber, Scott. And so Bruce jumps ahead of a train. The passenger van follow me. It has to be then. I'm lucky. If they came in full force, they'd have me. Still, as it is, I'm hardly in the clear. Only chance, dangerous as it is. And so he gets past the train. I did it. The train. It looks like he already passed the train, but he must be going the other way. Okay. I did it. The train. Deafening It's pounding in my head. No, it's not the train. Good Lord, I lost track of time. It's, and they're like, ridiculous, Scott. If the man is that desperate to avoid talking to us, leave him be. After all, we've been hounded enough in our life not to do it to someone else. I read he was separated from the Hulk, so Banner himself isn't a threat anymore. I still think there's something wrong, but if you're certain, never been more. Besides, we probably couldn't even find him. Our mutant tracking equipment won't pick him up, and visually, we'll never spot him. The sun's just set. And so, Scott, the train, something pulled it off the track. And they're like, so we got to look at it over here, even though we can see. No, it can't be. It's, and then trouble. Love these. You can see, I mean, the McFarlaneisms are starting to. Big trouble, you morons, the biggest, says Hulk. So you're from S.H.I.E.L.D., huh? Out, people. Out of the van, move. Well, shield yourself from this. Thanks for the telekinetic hustle, Genie. Man, that rental car people will be ticked. One warning, S.H.I.E.L.D. You're lucky. I usually don't give warnings, but I'm in a good mood. And Jean Grey says, he's leaping away. And was that creature really the Hulk? I'm not sure, but whatever he is, we have to stop him. And so Scott uses his optic blast and hit him, and he falls down. Love the fact that it's not a full moon. So, great. We try going in as laid-back X-Factor to wind up having to fall back on the Exterminators bit. Exterminators are the opposite of... they're the enemies of X-Factor, even though they're the same friggin' people. No choice, Bobby. We have to get him out of the building before he hurts someone. Well, Banner was wrong. You're not S.H.I.E.L.D., you're the X-Men. And so, Scott says, we're not the X-Men anymore. We're Exterminators. We all changed, don't we, Hulk? Yeah, X-Men Exterminators. Well, it really doesn't matter, because now you'll be, and he grabs the wall. Extinct. And, Cyclops hits him again with the optic blast. Iceman, Marvel Girl, I'll keep him off balance. Outflank him. We have to contain him. And Hulk is like, contain me, ha! He's throwing machines around like missiles. Fall back, says Iceman. Iceman, buy us some time. Don't worry. An ice wall should. Holy cow, it's twice as thick. When'll I get it under control? Don't knock it, Iceman. I know, but the ground's trembly, and so it's a roller from the printing press. Scatter. I can't stop it, but I can slow it down some. This is insane. He's absolutely vicious, says Marvel Girl. So Cyclops says, Marvel Girl, you okay? And her nose is bleeding. She's like, nosebleed. Happens when I push myself. All right, so Cyclops hits him again with the optic blast. Whoa, caught him mid-leap. Lucky. But our luck won't last long. And so, where'd he go? Don't say we split up and look for Sam Psych. I'm not ready for that, says Iceman. And the Hulk's above, watching them. You ready for this? As he jumps down. Come on, make your move already. I don't have all night. Bah, I figure you'd freeze. And knocks Iceman out. But you, girlie, you're the dangerous one. You got a power I can't see. I don't know how strong you are, so let's find out. And so, that's all you do? Wave your hands and scrunk your face? Well, wish away. I'm sorry. I don't wish away, useless. And Marvel Girl's like, Cyclops, my telekinesis won't hold him back any longer. And he uses his optic blast. Can't fire right at him without hitting Jean. Have to aim it this just right. So you can see that it bounces to very few places. I like how this was all constructed. So he's gonna hit that paper roll stacks. Look out. And he hits them, and they all fall down on him. And Cyclops is yelling at everyone, the Hulk, run! And he's like, that's right, run as fast and as far as you can, because I've had it. Hulk, please, none of this is necessary. Just calm down. We're friends, says Cyclops as he fires at him. You still don't get it, do ya? You got no idea what you're messing with. No idea what you're facing. No idea what you're messing with. You still think I'm that cuddly monster who loved baked beans and puppy dogs. He's dead, Cyclops. I'm here now, and your eye-beams are getting weak, and I almost got my hands on you. And so, Iceman is freaking out. He's like, I can't let him hurt Cyclops. I can't. And he uses his powers, which of course are not under control, and just freezes that whole place. Oh, brother, clear everyone out. When he breaks out there, and they're like, I don't think so. He was really straining at the end. He really has changed. He's not as strong as he was, but what he lacks in strength, he makes up in sheer savagery. We're lucky people. Bobby, and he's like, falls down. He's beat. And Hulk is like, got to break out, get angry, but so cold, colder than I should be. How? Can't think, can't. My whole body's getting numb. This cold you made is incredible, Bobby. Hey, why are you defrosting? Because I'm scared that if I don't, I'll be stuck, iced for good, he says. So, come this guy's. Hi there, I'm Bob, Craig, and Phyllis, and I just wanted to say thank you for saving our lives. And, Bobby doesn't want his face seen because he doesn't want to blow his ID. Yeah, no sweat. Looks like we got the Hulk on ice. What are we going to do with him? And Cyclops says, we contact Banner's last known base of operations, Gamma in Mexico. We have to, Bobby. Our facilities can't hold him. He's just too dangerous. And besides, don't you think the authorities have already been informed? Nuh-uh, he was running for S.H.I.E.L.D. For some reason, we can't. And so, you know, they're going to have just a conversation, but, you know, Cyclops essentially says, I hope that they're doing the right thing. So, and of course, S.H.I.E.L.D. is already known, and these guys say here, excellent, Clay. Send as many people as it takes. This is your chance to finally end the menace of the Hulk. I trust we're of one mind in this matter. Absolutely. I know where my responsibilities lie, so check it out. So we are going to be looking at Hulk 337 from 1987. We are continuing through Peter David's incredible Hulk run. I have other various Hulk runs done. I have the John Burns run. I actually have a Hulk playlist. So I have some of the Al Milgram stuff. I didn't cover it in detail. Just kind of gave a synopsis. So feel free to check it out. My goal was to get to Peter David's run. And so we are in the beginning, in the infancy of Peter David's run. I hope to cover the entire run. So, first off, we had a little mistake right here. This actually should have been the color of the background, but it looks like they had a little coloring snafu. So, we are featuring Todd McFarlane is still not doing the covers. So we have X Factor. So we're going to pick up where we left off, but very good cover. So McFarlane is starting to come on his own as a penciler. He's, like I said, he's still not an inker, or not inking himself at this time. And so we have Betty's ex-boyfriend Ramon here, which we have already met. Like I said, I have a playlist. And Ramon says, nice breeze today. Betty, come on. Let's not have this take forever, huh? Time is money, babe. Besides, it's not like they're checking you out of the hospital. We're sneaking out. The longer we stand here... If you're nervous, Ramon, I can wear a disguise, Betty says. Nah, you look fine. So you can see Betty looks pretty beaten up. Now, I know what you're thinking when you see her beaten up like this. Ramon is beating her up. She is not. He is not. Ramon, this is her injuries that she sustained by the Hulk. Okay, so this is not Ramon beating her up. Okay, so I just know that it looks like it because we just haven't seen her in a little bit. Um, so again, Ramon says, "Nah, you look fine. Hold on, I want to leave Bruce a note." And Ramon's like, "A note? Oh, Madonna. Babe, you don't owe Bruce Banner anything. After what he did to you, he doesn't deserve a note. He deserves a knife in the ribs." So you can see here, she's leaving him a note. "He's my husband, Ramon. Besides, he didn't mean to hurt me. I know you keep telling me he wasn't himself. But tell me this, babe. If Bruce Banner wasn't himself, then who was he?" Now, I want to turn back up here when they keep saying, "Nice breeze today." You don't say that unless you're going to have to do something with the breeze, which of course was the whole point of it. Comic book 101. So, and you can see here, "My dearest Bruce." All right, so we have the Hulk and Iceman engulfed him in ice because he's not able to control it. So Cyclops is here. Now, gonna make a long story short, this is Cyclops from the original X-Men in the 80s. He left the X-Men. The original X-Men formed a group called X Factor where they portrayed themselves as mutant hunters. They were trying to basically get all these mutants so they could train them the same way Professor X trained them. But they used the cover of X Factor, which was hunters, and then they were the exterminators, in which they were themselves fighting X. It was convoluted. Regardless, this is through the beginning-ish, middle-ish part of X Factor. So Louise Simonson had probably just started taking over the writing. Walter Simonson had just started taking over the penciling. So this is kind of where we're at. So Cyclops is here concentrating. He is trying to give the Hulk a nice breathing room because he is completely engulfed in ice. Here we have the lettering. I'm not too keen on the title lettering here. Looks, I don't know. It looks electronic. Doesn't have that nice, I don't know what you'd call it, just human quality. So, again, Todd McFarlane's not inking himself, but he will for a few issues. So, I did it. I drilled an air hole for him. Bobby's super cold ice may have completely numbed the Hulk, but he still has to breathe. Todd McFarlane is already starting to get the Hulk a little bit even more with the brow, with the nose. So we're going to get a recap of last issue. I'm not going to go through that recap because I've already covered the issue. So we basically or you can basically go into the playlist and look at it if you haven't seen it. So Cyclops has called S.H.I.E.L.D. and Marvel Girl says, when did those hotshot spy types say they'd be here? And Cyclops says, "I'm not sure, Marvel Girl. They're coming from New Mexico, after all. I'm certain they'll get here as quickly as they can." So only 3 members of X Factor are here. Of course, we are missing the Angel, who I could be Archangel at that time. I don't know where in the X Factor. I know it's in there somewhere because they're still wearing their fur. So we haven't had the Apocalypse era yet. So and then we're missing the Beast. So and so we have the Hulkbusters going here. We're moving as fast as we can, Larat. Keep your chair on, okay? Can you blame me, Quartermain? Saunders and I are anxious. We want to get to Sparta before S.H.I.E.L.D. wusses on us again. There's a littered sorry, there's a little danger of that, Larat. My instructions are quite specific. Kill the Hulk, period. And so Larat asks, and his human half Bruce Banner? Expandable, Saunders. Expandable. Sorry. I thought Saunders was the white guy. Larat is sorry. It's hard to know where the bubbles are going. So excellent. Saunders was hospitalized for 2 weeks, and I'm still in this chair thanks to Banner and his gamma ray creatures. I have no sympathy at all. You tell him, Rocky. And so Clay Quartermain here. First of all, I really love the shadow in the face here. So he thinks, yeah, Larat, tell me how great all this is. Then tell me why I feel so dirty inside. I know what the SHIELD Council expects. I know where my duty lies. But part of me keeps screaming, this is wrong. How can you do this to Bruce? And Betty, what would Betty say if she knew what my orders were? And of course, we still have my dearest Bruce here. So we got a bunch of gawkers looking. He sure is one ugly looking thing. No, he sure is one ugly looking thing. Okay, are they sure he can't get out? And so Marvel Girl is like, Scott, this is ridiculous. We've been waiting for 2 hours now. SHIELD should be here. Let's just go. And Cyclops says, and if the Hulk breaks free after we leave, we can't chance it. And so Marvel Girl says, maybe so, but I feel like we've been waiting around for the Lion to show up so we can stick our heads in his mouth. I'm getting some food, Bobby. You want anything? And he says no. So, look, Scott, we're taking a real risk here. We're not here as X Factor, the mutant hunters. And so she's sending some 50 cents for the snack bin. We're here as the exterminators. As far as the government's concerned, we're as popular a topic as Contra fundings. 80s stuff. The Iran-Contra. Look it up. It's on Wikipedia. And SHIELD's a government agency. I know that we're trying to bolster popular acceptance for mutants, but isn't this asking for trouble, she says? Perhaps, but our Gestapo tactics as X-Factor help foster the anti-mutant attitude. It's our responsibility, I know, she says. Coaxworm, let's see if I can... And so he tries to make her a little cold. You know, because he's in ice form, everything will feel warm to him. It just... He'd have to be in his human guise for him to be able to tell, because everything's going to be warmer, because he's ice. So, I'll never get my ice power under control at this rate. Toss the soda, Iceman. Company's here, so you can see here. Cyclops, Exterminator. Clay Quarterman, SHIELD. Marvel Girl, Pisces. It's a trope of Peter David to insert jokes. And so here comes Sonder. Hey, Rocky, they got an air hole cut for it. I'll give it a hole in the gut. And Clay Quarterman says, Saunders, I let you take that laser cannon from Ordnance over my better judgment. Wave it around again and I'll make you eat it. What's your problem, Quartermain? We gonna kill it, ain't we? And he's like, will you shut your... Agent Quartermain, what's all this about killing the Hulk? We can't be a party to that. What's the matter, Exterminators? Problem with living up to your name? Ignore them, gentlemen and lady. These are civilian advisors, which means we can ignore their advice. We'd like to debrief you, and Colonel Fury would probably like to thank you as well. Well, Psych, in for a penny, in for a pound, Iceman. Cyclops, if you could help chisel the Hulk out of there, we want to airlift him to Gamma Base. We'd also like you to accompany us. And so they get him trapped. Of course, he's got his eyes closed. So we know what's going to happen. You don't show stuff unless you're going to use them. So, hey, Quartermain, if the ice thaws around the Hulk, it might break out. Iceman's in the cargo hold, making sure that doesn't happen, Saunders. And stop calling it the Hulk. And stop calling the Hulk it, or I'll pop you. So Iceman's like, I got a bad feeling about all this. I know Scott's doing what he thinks is right, but this whole setup seems fishy. I gotta talk to Nick Fury when we get there. He's the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's a straight shooter. But how do I know Fury will be there? How do I know they really won't kill you? They can't. Bruce Banner's buried somewhere inside. We can't let them pull anything over on us. We've got to go into this with our eyes wide open, which of course they are open. And again, my dearest Bruce. So, we're now in the Gamma base. You can start to see McFarlaneisms. You can almost see, he's not inking himself, but you can start to see that those pencils are really tight, how he kind of wants it inked. So, before he just kind of went with whatever. Now he's starting to really tell the inker, you can definitely see those pencils are real tight. So, at the Gamma base in New Mexico, Rick Jones, you're looking depressed, but you're fortunate, young man. You have a genuine psychiatrist on hand to shrink your brain. And Rick says, "Oh, hi, Doc Samson." That's it. Hi, Doc Samson. Not even your usual "What's up, Doc?" Guess not, Rick says. Don't mind me, Doc. I guess I'm worried about all the typical stuff someone my age is worried about. Like, what's going to happen to my best friend now that everyone knows he's the Hulk again? So Rick Jones says, I guess it had to come out. With Bruce's long absence and the Hulk's recent reappearance, you don't have to be an Einstein to tumble into it. What's going to happen to him, Doc? And Samson says, Rick, if I could see the future, I wouldn't be a psychiatrist. I'd be a stockbroker or a bookie. I know you blame yourself for much of what's happened, but you can't eat yourself up over the past. Just be concerned about the present and let the future take care of itself. And so Rick says, Doc, look down there. They got him. Hey, Saunders, you hear anything? Like what? Like cracking. And you can see the ice starting to crack. And everyone's like, oh, shit. And Hulk gets out and he says, all right, who gets smashed first? Great panel here. Just nice. Very nice. McFarlane's already starting to do the panel rearrangement. I mean, you can just see the future here. So Hulk picks up that vehicle. Oh, so you all want a piece of me, huh? Well, don't worry. There's plenty to go around. And Cyclone's like, Iceman, I thought you were reinforcing the ice on the trip. I guess I kind of forgot. And Cyclops is like, you forgot. And Hulk thinks here, that truck I tossed scattered them. I still feel groggy from that ice. Need some distance. So he's going to jump away. But Doc Samson has arrived. Hulk, it's me, Leonard Samson. Do you remember? And he's like, oh yeah, I remember. You're the one who says he's almost as strong as me. You know what almost means? Nothing. And he tosses him. And so Jean Grey says, Scott, this is all wrong. We can't match him pound for pound. We need something subtle. And Cyclops is like, subtle? With the Hulk? Like what? And she says, like this. And she uses her telekinetic to push or to close his eyes. My eyes. I can't open my eyes, says the Hulk. Whoever's holding my eyelids shut, knock it off. And of course, Marvel Girl gets out of the way. Get ready. Get set. Where are you? I'll tear you limb from limb. And so Cyclops hits him. Dr. Samson hits him. Brilliant, Iceman. And he says, bill me, okay? So, great panel here. And so Clay is meeting with the clandestine S.H.I.E.L.D. leaders or whatever organization in there. And so the Hulk's finally been busted. Quartermain, good work. Even if you did need the help of those mutants. I hope you're now prepared to dispose of him once and for all. And Quartermain's like, sir, what about Banner? At this point, he's no longer needed, Quartermain. It's taken a number of years, but the gamma bomb is finally perfected. Banner existed as our backup in the event we needed his expertise on the bomb. He's outlived his usefulness. The Hulk never had any usefulness to begin with. And another one says, Quartermain, I hope we can count on you to do what needs to be done. Friendships such as yours with Banners cannot get in the way of duty. And he looks down and says, yes, sir, I know what I have to do. I have to. And suddenly we hear the Hulk, get me out of here, as he's yelling. He's like, arr! And Iceman says, Hulk, you might as well stop struggling. The SHIELD people said those are kinetic bonds. The more you pull against them, the more pressure you apply. Sorry, the more you pull against them, the more pressure you apply strengthens them. You're fighting yourself. Yeah, well, at least that's an enemy I can respect, says the Hulk. Love it. Not like you jokers bending over backwards to get in good with S.H.I.E.L.D. Brains like Martel and Hideko there, and you, Samson, but only I know what's going on. And Marvel Girl says, Hulk, S.H.I.E.L.D. just wants to help you. And he laughs and scoffs at her. Ha! S.H.I.E.L.D.'s totally corrupt. They're going to wait until I change back to Banner and then kill me. And Samson says, that's paranoia, Hulk. S.H.I.E.L.D., Gamma Base, the government, they all want to help gamma exposure cases like yours. Ha! Now it is my turn to be cynical. The government does not help. Wake up and smell the coffee, Samson, yells the Hulk. If they're so concerned about gamma exposure, why are they still testing gamma bombs like the one that created a guy I met named Half-Life? Hulk, I don't know about this. Even if S.H.I.E.L.D. is corrupt, even if the government is making gamma bombs, which I doubt, why do you assume that they'd stoop to killing Banner? That's easy, because I'm totally corrupt, and that's what I would do, as he smiles. And so we see someone doing something here, carrying some stuff, and then pressing a button. So, at another place there, you're Agent Trump, Quartermain second in command. I'm Larat, Samuel J., Hulkbuster leader. Trump. That's funny. It's in the 80s. He wasn't even in politics, so. I expected you. You want to know when we're killing the Hulk? Good question. Quartermain's supposed to be arranging it. Now he's vanished. Poof. No, Quartermain, and now we've got a bunch of mutants running around. I should have expected that, but I didn't. I wish I could make it I wish I could make all the mutants disappear. Poof. As I expected, I've been ordered to keep an eye on Quartermain and assume command if there's sufficient provocation. Hold on, as the phone rings. What? The mutants are demanding to talk to someone in authority? And they've got Samson backing them up? Have them report to C-Deck, Station 3. Tell them we'll make everything clear to them there. And so then the guy says, well, now certainly sounds like provocation to me, Larat, but then it's nothing less than I expected. And so meanwhile, and you see another pressing another button. So here comes Iceman. Hey, here guys, I bet this is it. And so they come in. Bet you're right, says Agent Trump. And so everybody's now very McFarlane-esque. It's really nice. Samson, I want you and the Hulkbusters over here. So you're the exterminators, eh? I've heard a lot about you. Seems you want to know our plans for the Hulk. You really shouldn't be asking questions. It makes us doubt your loyalty. I'm afraid we may have to take care of that permanently. Samson, where do you think you're? And so Samson goes in between the two columns and very biblically, he pushes them out like Samson in the Bible. Oh no, oh yes, I may have been as blind as my namesake was, but I can still smite with the best of them. Run, cuz this place is about to tumble down. And so, Hulkbusters, Rick, we're out of here. And so Cyclops is like, hurry up, the ceiling's coming down faster than we can catch the debris. And Larat's like, Samson, you're mine. Well, if it isn't the jawbone of it. Uh-oh. And Larat laughs. Ha! Dig your way out of that, Sigmund Freud. I haven't read some of these issues in probably 25 years. I have them. I have each of them. But man, oh man, it is so cool. So the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are going after them. There they go. And so, Bobby, now would be a good time to... Gotcha, psych. Hey, S.H.I.E.L.D., chill out, as he tosses them or shoots his ice powers at them. And so, meanwhile, again, we're just seeing buttons being pressed. Bobby, do you have enough of a handle of your power to free the Hulk? And Iceman says, hope so. And Cyclops orders him and says, Iceman! He's like, I'm on it. As they're fighting. Great panel here. Rick punching that dude. Hulk, go now. He's all smiling. That was dumb. I think you forgot you got me into this. It's time for some crushed ice. The Hulk's loose. Kill it. They yell. That voice. You're the one who wanted to put a hole in my gut back in Sparta. You're a dead smart guy. And Saunders like, you threatening me with icicles, you stupid freak? I don't threaten. And he hits him. Oh, my shoulder. And, oh, I forgot her name. I think it's Professor Takata. Hold on, Saunders. There, it's out. I suggest you do the same. And he runs out. And Hulk makes a way out. He's like, this way. And Cyclops is like, no arguments here. And Cyclops shoots at Larat. I may have made a bigger mistake in my life than trusting S.H.I.E.L.D., but none comes to mind. And so, they get Rick Jones. He's like, Bruce, help, Bruce, help. And Hulk is like, sorry, no Bruce here. All right, Hulk, happy now? And he's like ecstatic. And you can hear bam, wham, crash, and Rick smiles. And he talks. And there's more where that came from. So, seconds later, here comes everybody. Made it outside. Now I can ditch the rest of you losers. And suddenly the sun is up. He's like, oh no, not now. Not yet. Banner's gonna screw up. Get us killed, please. And no, not the Hulk. I'm not the Hulk. I'm Bruce Banner. So S.H.I.E.L.D. surrounds them, and they're like, and now you're both dead. And so here's Agent Trump. And so, good morning, people. Nice day for an execution. We have orders to kill the Hulk. You muties will be unfortunate victims who got in the way. Regrettable. And suddenly, there's an explosion there. Trump, this is Clay Quartermine. Listen up. I won't be a party to this. I've just blown up an unoccupied section of Gamma Base. You have 3 minutes to get everyone clear before I blow up the rest of the base. That's it, Trump. Move it. 2 minutes, 53 seconds left. And so, here comes Quartermain. Come on, Cyclops, all of you. Get it in gear. And Cyclops says, thanks for the assist. Clay, right? Your name's Clay? Not anymore. Now it's Mud. As everyone's shooting at them, and he presses the buttons, and there's more. And so Cyclops says, you look like you're enjoying flipping those switches, Clay. And he says, just glad to see those bombs I planted are working. Good old American know-how. And Bruce says, Clay, good Lord, those explosions, what's happening? The base, all the work we were doing there, the equipment, you mustn't. And Rick says, don't sweat it, Bruce. Clay's just throwing a scare into them, a bluff. And Clay says, no, Rick, if Gamma is left standing, it will, with its armament and vehicles, will be caught inside of 24 hours. I'm sorry, Bruce. All of a sudden you see this gigantic boom. Good thing Trump listened to me. Clay Quartermain does not bluff. And so, thanks again for the Gamma Base uniform. So now that we've got our rental car, we're on our way, says Cyclops. Do you have room for passenger, Cyclops? And Bruce says, Hideko, you're not coming with us? And this is, I think, Martel. He says, I don't think so, Bruce. The death, destruction, I've had my fill for this lifetime. And he says, I feel the same, mon ami. I must admit, I've developed a certain fondness for Hideko here, not to mention keeping my skin intact. It's time to say au revoir. I think that's how you say it. Au revoir. Sorry. I should be heard, I suppose, but I certainly understand. Goodbye then, Martel, Hideko, Godspeed. You too, Bruce, and watch your back. And so, where to, Psych, New York? St. Louis, Iceman. We have to retrieve our plane from the St. Louis airport. The only problem is, how do we fill the time driving from New Mexico to St. Louis? Oh, it's easy. Ready, everybody? 1,000,000 bottles of beer on the wall. 1,000,000 bottles of beer. So, there goes X Factor in the car. And so, Rick, Clay, and Bruce are in this little, I don't know, a bus? We'll call it a bus for now. All right, Clay, let's go. Shield's going to be after us. We have to find the gamma ray bombs and stop production of them. We should have a full day. Betty, we have to go get her. I assume she wasn't on Gamma Base. Where is she? And Clay's like, oh yeah, about Betty. And of course, we got the note, my dearest Bruce. And so, this cleaning lady comes in. Wasted job, wasted life. And he goes, wasted paper. And throws that letter. Meanwhile, at the gamma bomb, Doc Samson comes out. He's like, air, fresh. Heavens no. All of it. All gone. What a waste. The end. We're now looking at The Hulk 338 from 1987 by Peter David. Pencils by McFarlane. McFarlane is still not doing the inks, but he's going to get to them with 340 when we finally get the friggin' Wolverine and that glorious cover that everybody has seen. So, I believe he is still not doing the cover pencils, but boy, will he. So, I'm hoping to cover Peter's entire run in the Hulk. So, it's really good. Peter David is, to me, the Hulk writer. Other people have done him. Other people have had good stories with him. But Peter David, to me, is the Hulk writer, and no one has been able to write Hulk as good or as well as Peter David did. So, all right, here we go. $20,000. Where the bloody heck do I get $20,000? IRS doesn't care. Nobody cares. Why did I come to this sodding country anyway? Nothing going right. And now my bathwater's tepid. I should stay in here and catch pneumonia and die. That jolly well show them all. So, listening to the big, it's so funny, all the stuff that back then in the 80s you needed. So, hello Alfred, my newest love. And he's like, what's this? A bloke can't have any privacy. Where did... And she says, I'm your guardian angel, Alfred, your angel of mercy. I'm here to love you. That's why you kiss me? No. And then she throws the radio, and he of course gets electrocuted. That was goodbye. Others need my help now. So, mercy killings. Todd McFarlane is the penciler. Peter David is the writer. McFarlane's pencils are starting to get a little bit tighter, but inkers back then just didn't know how to get that. So you see a little bit of the ticks, but not all. So Banner obviously is having a dream because, him and the Hulk are out at the same time. Just absolutely wonderful. Notice how the brow is getting more developed as McFarlane goes on and on. So, great, absolutely great panel here. Man, oh man. Always gives him these cheekbones. That's the way McFarlane does it. And so, but Mercy shows up in their mind, because this is all taking place like in their minds, because and so Hulk is like, Banner, is this some stupid trick? Not at all, my sweet. I'm here to help you, to relieve you of your burden, to grant you mercy. And hits the Hulk. It's a miracle. The Hulk is dying. You both are, silly man. And so it is my gift to you, a gift of love. And you can see Banner screaming, and he wakes up in the back of the van. I have covered. I have a lot of Hulk runs covered. I have a playlist on Hulk. If you want to catch up on everything that's going on, please feel free to head to the playlist. And I've got every issue with John Byrne's, starting with John Byrne's run. But once Peter David really takes over is kind of when I start to get more in detail. The Al Milgrom run, I just sort of showed and skimmed and just kind of flew my way through it. But I really wanted to concentrate on the Peter David and the John Byrne portions of it. So it's sort of one big story because John Byrne kind of set it up. Al Milgrom sort of continued cooking, and then Peter David, before he started his own stuff, he cleaned it up. That's the thing. Peter David's run hasn't really started because he's still trying to get all those things that Al Milgrom and John Byrne had sort of done before he moves on and kind of starts doing his own spin. Right now, he's just sort of cleaning things up. One of the things about Peter David is he puts jokes everywhere. So Rick goes, "Wake up, Bruce, come on, snap out of it." And Clay's like, "What's going on back there?" "A Tupperware party, Clay. What do you think is going on?" He does these kind of things. So he sometimes he overdoes it, but it's one of his things. He inserts jokes. Even in his most serious of stories, there are still jokes abound. And so Bruce asks if he can stop for breakfast somewhere. And so it looks like they're going to go here to this diner. And so we're getting sort of what's been going on. So we get a recap basically here. Bruce asks how come Clay's not joining them. And he's like, he should be along in a sec. He said he had to make some modifications to the van, remove something. Probably stuff that was enable them to get followed. So this is one of those kind of diners. And this guy's groping this lady. And she's like, quit touching me. And this well, if you don't want me to touch it, don't expect me to touch this garbage either, and just throws it. and ends up hitting Clay. And he's like, "Who's the dead man that just tossed coffee at me?" And this guy grabs him. You can start seeing McFarlane tropes. It just gets so much better once he starts inking himself. Me, Ernie Rice, you got a problem with that blondie? Didn't think so. Guy drives a rig for 14 hours straight. He deserves better than this slop. And Clay's like, "Rick, Bruce, I'll be right back." So Rick's like, "Come on, I want to go see Clay clean that guy's clock," meaning punch him. And Bruce is like, "No, perhaps Clay feels the need to yield to baser instinct like revenge. Perhaps I can even understand it, but we don't have to revel in it." And you can see Clay is actually taking something with him. So Clay's back. And he's like, "Clay, that was fast. You lay that guy out?" He's like, "You got it wrong, Rick. Fists aren't the answers to everything." "Well, good for you, Clay. I approve. By the way, where's that cylinder you were carrying?" "Oh, that? I shoved it somewhere." So, and we can guess where he put it. So about 25 minutes later, Bruce is saying, every time she mentions Betty, everybody, the other two get quiet, but he says he deserves to know. I love his hair, that this hairstyle that gave him. But he also did something that most other people don't do. He gave him a widow's peak. No one else has given Bruce Banner a widow's peak except McFarlane. McFarlane's the only guy that said, "I think he deserves a widow's peak." If I ever drew the Hulk as Bruce Banner, I think I would add the widow's peak. I personally have a widow's peak, so hey, more characters with widow's peak. So Bruce is getting some introspective. He's wondering if he hurt Betty, and that's why they don't want to tell him. But he's like, what if I hurt then Clay and Rick? They've done so much to help me. So no matter what I do, I cause pain and suffering. Maybe I shouldn't. So the van starts up, and it's trying to run him over. And Bruce grabs on. He's like, "Someone must be at the wheel, but who?" And of course, we see that Angel of Mercy there, which, by the way, is her name. And they're like, "Where'd Bruce go?" And then all of a sudden, Rick goes, "Hey!" And quick, while it's still moving slowly. So they go and get in. I love this. Just McFarlane is so cartoony, and he's magnificent in his cartooniness. God, I wish McFarlane would go back to drawing. I truly miss that. So, all right, notices that there's nobody there. They're gonna try to stop the car and successfully do. Now they're going to put first aid on Bruce Banner to get those wounds disinfected. Again, we got some more jokes. "Hey, tell Indiana Banner if he keeps this up, we'll have to get those uniforms by the gross." "Enjoy your jokes, Clay. S.H.I.E.L.D. may be out to kill me, but there's another freak accident or that like this, and I'll be doing their job for them." So we're at the Gamma base now. And so we got the Hulkbusters with Agent Trump. This is in the 80s, mid 80s. This is before Donald Trump even dreamed of becoming president. So there's nothing political about this. There's nothing political about Peter David using this guy's last name as Trump. Donald Trump was nowhere near the political scene in 1987. And if you want to know more about Agent Trump, look at the previous issues. He was Clay's second in command. But so Larat is like, "Hey, we're wasting time. We need to be, get looking for Banner. And the longer we wait, the harder it is to get him." He's like, Trump tells Larat, hey, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s supposed to be a secret outfit. We don't run around. It's more efficient. The S.H.I.E.L.D. van has individual tracking, and so they are tracking him. It's heading south through New Mexico. We'll wait until they're far from any populous area, then we'll get them. Let's get them now. And Trump's like, don't worry, they won't disappear. So now we're at the hospital, if you remember the letter. What do you mean she's disappeared? What kind of a hospital is this? A very busy one, sir. And we're not set up to keep track of a patient if they decide to just leave. Some Hispanic gentleman came to visit Mrs. Banner yesterday, and the next thing we knew, they were both gone. Frankly, I can't say I blame her. After what that monster did to her, she's probably wants nothing except to get out of town. Monster. Look, Bruce, it wasn't like that. Don't, Rick. Just don't say anything. He feels terrible because of course, they realize. Again, McFarlane is very cartoony. It's magnificent. I don't say cartoony in the bad way. He just gets better and better and better. So, he's feeling bad, and then again, Mercy is here again. He's like, you're the one from my dream. And she throws all these scalpels at him, and Bruce takes off running. Great. I mean, McFarlane, as a penciler at this time, has really found himself. He gets so much better once he just starts inking himself. Again, she keeps tossing and ends up hitting that guy. And she's like, oh no, I've hurt someone who didn't want my help. Bummer. So, again, look at that widow's peak. It's very subtle. He doesn't have it here, but everybody else, and just that's just awesome. So they discover that Betty and Ramon are going to Boulder, Colorado, and Bruce is like, we shouldn't be finding Betty. I should get away from both of you because everybody's gonna get hurt because of me. Of course, the two of them talk him out of it. And so back at the Gamma base, they're like, yep, they're definitely headed south. I see they're clear out of town. They were in. Excellent. Let's get moving. And so now we're in Washington, D.C., by the way. And if we continue to move as a country and a people, there's no limit to what we can accomplish. Thank you. And, of course, this man here in shadow says, excellent speech, Senator Tidewater. I hear you're a good bet for our next president. Well, I think that's a little premature, but you're very kind. You will get my vote. And they shake hands. He's like, thank you. Yes, when I see you, I see the mark of a true leader. Hint, hint. Nudge, nudge. And so we're now at the desert here, and the guys are pumping up with gasoline. And this guy says, "Hey, if you're gonna be in the desert, you need these magnesium flares." And of course, Rick knows it's a stick. And he's like, "Huh? That what the salesman who stuck you with all that said?" And so, well, I got a couple of Nigabans I could swap with you. So that's with the Captain Marvel. So, of course, he's sweating because nighttime is coming. Of course, nighttime means that the Hulk is going to come. So, he's thinking maybe if he tranquilizes himself, it'll have some effect on the Hulk. But anyway, he's coming. It's time. And a great look at this transformation. Absolutely remarkable. I wonder what this would look like if Todd would have inked himself. If I ever commissioned him if I could afford it, I would have this panel here and say, hey, can you rework this panel? Because it would just look beautiful. So, of course, look at Rick facing this monster. He's cool as a cucumber. If he's afraid, he don't show it. All right, and he just points at him. Okay, Hulk, before you do anything, just listen for a second. You need us to find the gamma ray bombs, so you won't have to deal with a bunch of gamma irradiated guys like yourself. And we need you for muscle when we find them. We go back a long way, Hulk. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't be here. So what do you say? Of course, we get him looking. You always have to be careful. I think the sun's fried your brains, Jones. Every time I've tossed in with somebody, I got shafted. I do just fine by myself. I don't need losers like you and Quartermain. And Rick's like, yeah, that's fine as long as you could come out when Bruce was in danger. But you only change at night now. Save it, Jones. You're no salesman, and I'm not buying. And then he's like, what the? And of course, Mercy again. And he goes after her. Rick's like, Hulk, wait. So Hulk goes right through. She throws like a energy beam at him. And Rick's like, stop it, you're killing him. And of course he yells for Clay. And so Clay tries to shoot her, but they all go through them. So now we're inside the mine, and of course Banner's getting it too. And so Hulk's writhing in pain. She's like, let me take the hurt, please. And Hulk's like, yes, anything you say. And so elsewhere, so of course we got the truck driver when he's being halted by S.H.I.E.L.D. because that's where Clay put everything. Of course, they're shooting at everything. And it was just toilet paper that the guy was hauling. So, they realized that Quartermain took the tracker out and put it in this, and so they all leave, and the truck driver's like, I don't believe this. No one has worse luck than me. So back to the Hulk, and so Hulk's like, she's doing something in my head, can't focus, strength. And Banner, of course, and he smacks her, and he's like, I can't give up. If I die now, my whole life was nothing. All the destruction I've caused unatoned for. It can't all have been a waste. Something's happening. Pressure in my head is easing. You almost had me, Mercy. You had your chance, but you blew it. And look at her. So, he basically, both of them are refusing to die. And so he takes that off and throws it at her. This is what her actual shape, I believe, is. So Hulk is like, or she's trying to get away. Hulk's like, well, she's not getting far. And so he lands on her and just, it says here, she's fighting back. It's like punching jello. So, he's heading toward the gas station. He's going to, probably get the gasoline. And so he's about to ignite. So she's all over him. Of course, he's invulnerable. So he's going to burn her off. Love this. This would be another one. This issue. Man, oh man. Right before McFarlane starts his inking, I mean, you can see these things and you're like, wow. So, and Hulk is like, she almost got me through Banner. I'm not sure, but Banner needs protecting because if he goes, I go. You guys are pretty lame, but you're all the Banner's got. He needs you, not me. You understand? I don't need anybody. But I'm stuck with Banner, and Banner needs all the help he can get. And of course, he's just like, move it, Quartermain. This ain't a summer cruise. And so And so we got the driver, and he's all like, man, what can go wrong, this and that. And he sees, of course, the hitchhiker here, who happens to be Mercy, and he's like, face it, Ernie, your luck's finally gonna change. The end. Looking at The Incredible Hulk 339 from 1987 by Peter David and Todd McFarlane. I'm hoping to do all of Peter David's run. This is his early run. Todd McFarlane is about to become a superstar. He's quickly his evolution on the Hulk. He does not do this cover, but boy, does he take over with the next issue, and things just are gonna go crazy starting in 340, and Todd McFarlane is cemented as one of the greatest, most influential comic book artists of all time. But at this time, he couldn't even do the cover because, it wasn't, he still wasn't a household name. They thought this guy was better, but trust me, that changes next issue. So, child abuse. I swear, no father should have to take this kind of abuse from his child. What's the score now, Alex? 35,000 or 3,500 to 50. That's it for video game Squirt. Does that mean we can go to that carnival that opened outside of town? Maybe tomorrow, Alex. I've got work to do. But Dad. So, I think I'll change my name to But Dad. I hear it so often. Can I at least come down to work with you? I don't see why not. By the way, Alex, you been feeling okay lately? You've been sweating a lot. Never better, Dad. So, we have already kind of a weird thing going. He's got like a secret compartment there. So I want to go to the fun house now. So there, yeah. Shut up, Sparky. You're drowning out the whole carnival. Now get down here this instant, young man, and stop sticking your tongue out. And so this kid's being a brat to his dad. And here comes Bruce Banner. Excuse me, young man. You're really giving your father there a pretty hard time, and parents have it tough enough. And without their sons throwing tantrums and making funny faces. Come on, why don't you? And he kicks Bruce Banner in the shin, and look at the mirror. The kid just, yeah, and Banner, So, and we get this amazing splash page here, just with the Hulk. And golly, McFarlane was really starting to turn things around. Why don't you make some funny faces, you wimp? As the dad just So, Native Son, Peter David's the writer, Todd McFarlane is the penciler. Starting next issue, for a couple issues, Todd McFarlane will be the sole inker. Like I said, McFarlane is going to become a superstar. So, hey, Bruce, you had him eating out of the palm of your hands. Your sense of humor is poorly timed, Rick. So Rick continues. Line up, Bruce. Parents are overrated. I can't even remember mine, and look how great I turned out. And this kid's like, the dad's like, I'm going to take you home and use your head for a soccer ball. And the kid's like, you're bluffing. And the dad's like, you wish. Nowadays, it's all empty threats because of, he sticks his tongue out. But trust me, in the 80s, parents still whipped their kids. So, all right. And Clay goes, frankly, Bruce, I'm a little surprised to hear you stick up so vehemently for fathers. Shield's records indicate that your dad was certainly no prize package. And Bruce is like, my father was sick man, Clay. Under the circumstances, he did the best he could. And frankly, I think you're out of line discussing it. He's holding Felix the cat, and there's a reason for that. And if you check out the internet, you'll see why Todd McFarlane put Felix the cat in so many places. The best he could, Bruce. That man beat you repeatedly, and he abused your mother. Hey, Clay, man, calm down. You're choking Felix there. I said you were out of line, Clay, and I mean it. This discussion is pointless. And see Bruce getting upset. What's past is past, and there's no use dwelling on it. Whatever demons drove my father went with him to his grave, and it's pointless dredging them up now. I'll see you back in the van. I think I've had enough fun for one day. So, maybe his father's demons are gone, but I think Bruce Banner's father gave Bruce some demons of his own. So, Rick is like, what you saying, Clay? I'm saying that Bruce Banner was a victim of his violence, and maybe, just maybe, the Hulk is a direct result of that abuse. You know, Clay, if you get any deeper, you'll be a creator. Where'd you learn all this stuff about Bruce? Shield files, there's all sorts of valuable information there, and maybe it can help us. We've been here in Boulder for 3 days. It's clear Bruce's wife Betty and her friend Ramon aren't around, and more importantly, we still have no idea where the gamma bombs are being stockpiled. How did you find, back in the 80s, particularly with no GPS, no phones, no nothing? How the hell do you find someone in a city the size of Boulder? Boulder may not be particularly huge, but it's still pretty big. So, I love this little guy here in the Ferris wheel with the wallet I lifted weed out tonight. So, and of course we got Betty and Ramon here. Well, you're looking good, babe. Drop a few pounds, did ya? Pretty soon you'll be looking as good as Vanna there. Terrific. Look, Ramon, I'm feeling sick again. What's with you, Betty? You've been sick ever since we left Boulder. What's your problem? Nothing a shower can't fix. Fine, have a party. And so the guy's watching Wheel of Fortune. So it's becoming night, and of course, Hulk. During this time, he changes into the Hulk at night, and we have a really good, just boom, 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 boom. Love it. Well, what are you staring at, Jones? Why are we still in this useless burg anyway? Betty's nowhere around here. You think I got all year? And Rick's like, don't worry, Hulk. We're leaving tonight after we get some information we need. But I was wondering, which is more important to you? Finding the gamma bombs that we found out the government's stockpiling, or finding Betty who ran out on you? What kind of stupid question is that? The bombs, of course. I don't give a flying fig about Banner's simpering wife. And so, Rick Jones says, yeah, so how come the first thing you started talking about was Betty? The same way she's Bruce's main concern. You know, I'm starting to think that Clay is right. You're no different from Puny Banner. I think you, as you like to think. You're everything he bottles up, not just anger, but other stuff like jealousy, passion. And Hulk grabbed this tree, and I love this panel. All black except for just a little bit of the Hulk's face. Jones, get out of my face. And as he hurls the tree at him. It's kind of funny that he gets the roots and everything, but the tree would have snapped. And Rick's like, last time I psychoanalyzed the Hulk, geez, I'm glad I didn't bring up his dad like Clay did this afternoon. Maybe Bruce forgave his dad, but I'll bet you the Hulk sure hasn't. So they stop at a 7-Eleven to buy Slurpees and sandwiches and all that. Well, you boys must be hungry, says the cashier. Actually, it's not for us. We got the Hulk sitting in the van, and he's really starved. Haha, you boys are great kidders. And Rick's like, aren't we? So, all right. And so there's a holographic image to make it look like a regular vehicle. So, or a van, a regular van. So, Clay's like, we're starting to run low on money. I'm getting worried. Don't worry your little brain, Quartermain. Money's no problem when I'm around. What do you mean by that, Hulk? You can't just knock over a bank, or I can knock over anything I want, Jones. So, or anyone. You got a problem with that, punk? As he just taps him. Of course, it hurts. Didn't think so. Okay, Quartermain. Now what? You're the big brain super spy. How do we find? And he was gonna say Betty. The gamma bombs. We gotta find them and get rid of them. The last thing I need is the thought of a few hundred Hulks running around. And so I went to enough trouble getting rid of the Hulk that Jones kept turning into. And Clay says, I've been giving it a lot of thought, Hulk. I think I've come up with something. By the way, any Slurpees left? And so a few minutes later, it's a Shield safe house. Like any good spy organization, Shield has safe houses scattered throughout the country in every city of any size. And like any good operative, or should I say ex-operative, I know where they all are. And Hulk says, and how many guys you think we'll run into? Not that it matters. Of course, probably only one or two. Boulder, Colorado isn't exactly a hub, but it should still have the equipment we need to tap into the Shield mainframe and get all the information we want. Can it get us to Sandal Bergman's phone number? Climb up, Jones. And I don't know who that is. It must have been. Peter David inserts a lot of humor into it, but some of it is dated humor, meaning you have to be relevant with the stuff for that stuff. So this guy's running up the stairs. If I'm going to keep being late for speeches, I'm going to have to drop about 20 pounds or 20 years, says the general there. And he trips in the steps. Why does every blasted building in Washington, D.C. have 3 million steps? And this guy here comes. Let me help you, General, before your notes are all over the city. Much obliged. The wind can be very... And suddenly he gets touched. You can see vicious. Yes, very vicious. It blew the wrong way for another operative of mine named Half-Life. And it turns out that this person, I have a playlist, so feel free to, if you've missed anything and need to know what's going on. It turns out that this was the leader the whole time. Let us hope it blows better than you, General. Allow me to introduce myself. I am called the leader, and I wish to know all there is to know about the Gamma Bomb project. So now we're in Boulder again, in that Shield safe house. That's that basement there. So once again, he says, how are you feeling, Alex? And the kid's like, you're always asking me that lately, Dad. How come? He goes, because I'm an overprotective father. When you are 40 years old, I'll be calling you to make sure you're wearing your galoshes, if it... And then he pauses. Uh-oh, someone's broken upstairs. Should we call the cops, Dad? I doubt if it's anything I can't handle, Alex. You stay put. So he goes to look, and suddenly the Hulk nabs him. Of course, he shoots because he probably doesn't realize that it's the Hulk. But great panel here. McFarlane's pencils are really going to it's just so cool. And here he goes, and he's like, ouch. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. McFarlane is so flippin' good. I love his Hulk. Just absolutely adore his Hulk. And here he grabs the guy's hand, and of course he screams in pain. And here comes Rick, and he says, Hulk, let go of his hand now, would ya? Your lectures are really starting to bug me, Jones. You think you're my father or something? Absolutely not. Then butt out, says the Hulk. Great. Look at this brow. When I draw Hulk, I give him this huge brow as well. Look at that brow. Oh my goodness gracious. Part of why Hulk gets like that is McFarlane wanted to show him more as the skin of an elephant / rhinoceros. So he wanted to do all these ticks on him. So Clay goes, they thought you were somewhere in Texas, you turncoat. They thought wrong. What's your computer access code? No way, Quarterman. Tell me or I'll have the Hulk ask you. And so down in the basement, Dad, get back down here. I'm sweating like anything, and my hands are. Dad, what's happening to me? I'm scared. You can see the kid's hands are starting to glow. He's got power. Rick, let me take the lead. I know how these shield safe houses are laid out. So, wow, I can't get over how huge this place is underground, especially when you compare it to the joint overhead. Look how big the Hulk is. Just a hulking brute. Some people just... The reason I love McFarlane's Hulk isn't just because I love Todd McFarlane, which I do, is his Hulk looks like a brute. And a lot of people don't do that. Part of, I think, what made Immortal Hulk so good and so... is it was different, and the Hulk just looked like a brute. Also, the artist, and I forget his name, also gave him a huge brow. And so, well, here's the main computer, folks. Folks. It'll take a while to enter the file since I can't access my shield code. Yeah, we don't want the big guys to know we're here. And then a little short while later, Hulk's getting impatient. You can see him kind of slamming this thing and knocking it. Well, Mr. Wizard, are we in yet? And Clay's like, we're working on it. And of course, the kid sees this. Watch McFarlane's... it's starting to really click. Like I said, when he starts inking himself, it just explodes. So the kid's like, holy cow, who are those guys? And what's that? That thing they got with them. I think he says goth, like little kids. And then, of course, he sees his dad, and he's like, oh no, Dad, help me. And this little thing explodes. Hulk's like, did you hear something? Again, look at that brow. Clay's like, shh, I'm busy screwing this up. It won't let me in. It won't tell me a thing about the gamma bombs. The computer is resisting my attempt to enter that file. Oh, sorry. I think it went here to here to here. Well, since this won't be a total loss, let's see if I can access Betty's charge card records. Bingo. According to this, she flew out of Denver Airport to New Orleans, Louisiana. And here, what was his name? I forgot. Anyway, woman's gonna look like a prune if she don't come out of that shower. Let's get moving, Clay, before more shield guys show up. They better not, or I'll give them what I gave that guy upstairs. As he pounds in it. Again, very brutish, hulking. I mean, many people draw Hulk kind of just like a big strong man. And very few just draw this a proportionate. Look where McFarlane puts his neck, or his face. Doesn't give him a neck, just and puts his head, I said face, my apologies, and puts his head down. I mean, he always looks so imposing. It just very few people just continue with this, and most of them just draw the big strong man. So the little kid shows up and he's like, "Where's my dad? Take me to him right now." Well, so that's where the little shield agents come from. "Hey kid, father ain't worth crying about. I did you a favor, pal." So, "What'd you do to him? What'd you do?" says the kid. You can see his hands are glowing here. "Hulk, watch it, his hands. For the last time, Jones, butt out. He's just a kid. What could he do against?" And then he doesn't complete his sentences because the kid just levels the Hulk. Just very cool. Hulk just screams in pain and just starts smashing stuff. And the kid's like, "I didn't mean to do that." "Yeah, well, just go off and find the Hulk and tell him you're sorry. Bye." So, "Wait, come back, bring my dad." And he ends up shooting Clay and Rick. He can stop this. "Where's my dad? Come back. Clay, the Hulk went this way." You can see because of all the... I suggest we do the same. This is how Todd... everybody has all these little quirks of how they kind of do things over. John Romita also has them with showing people. They all sort of run the same, and McFarlane does the same thing. When he shows people, they all sort of run the same. So, who was this kid anyway? I feel like I'm trapped in a Stephen King novel. His code name's Ashcan, real name Alex Woolcott. I read the files when it happened a few months ago, but I didn't realize they brought him here. When what happened? Alex's father, horribly abusive man, but great scientist, created some sort of incineration ray. Alex had an accident with it, absorbed its properties, and wound up incinerating his own dad. What? And he's like, shut up and listen, as the kid's just kind of going through. Alex hooked up with Spider-Man, who tried to protect him, but some SHIELD field commander overreacted and made things worse. He shot the kid with heavy-duty tranks, meaning tranquilizer, while another marksman, to play it safe, shot him with real bullets. The bullets went straight through, hitting non-vital. Thank heavens. The tranquilizer stayed in, put him out like a light. And so there's a little thing here. This would happen in Peter Parker's Spider-Man, number 118. I have not covered that, but I am covering Spider-Man, but I haven't gotten into the black costume at this time. So SHIELD took the kid, left Spider-Man and everything else, thinking the boy was dead. Nick Fury took the kid under SHIELD's wings and fired the overzealous agent. Problem was, mentally, the kid was a basket case from everything that had happened. Couldn't remember how to tie his own shoes or anything less. By the way, Peter David was writing the Spectacular Spider-Man during that time, so Peter David is sort of bringing in his own, what would we say? Kind of like putting everything back. So Peter David, I believe, was the writer of Peter Parker during that time. So SHIELD created a calm setting for him, complete with fake father, in hopes of trying to bring him back to some balance of sanity, try to make up for what we did to him. But with this power of his back, the kid's probably more scared than we are. So, and this would technically be McFarlane's very first Spider-Man. And so he shoots there and he goes, "Then again, maybe not. Wait, don't run away. I don't want to hurt you. Everything's all confused. I can't. Help me, please." And right on cue comes the one person to make things worse, because here comes the Hulk. And so, and there's not a mark on him. How? And then Rick's trying to hold him back. Yeah. "Bruce, don't hold it. Don't hurt him. Call me that again and I'll hurt you. He's a scared, abused kid, just like you, like Bruce used to be." "Yeah, well, Bruce hearts would bleed for him." Again, look at the brow. Just absolutely awesome. Goodness. I just love what McFarlane's becoming. Again, look at the brute, which is what Hulk really should be. Check out the Immortal Hulk, because that's the next guy that I think does the next best job at creating this brutish like Hulk. So anyway, the Hulk continues here. But that little punk nearly fried me, and nobody does that to the Hulk. Nobody, he screams out. I see you hiding there, you little. And then he comes in there and hears stuff, and he's like, whoa. And so Clay and Rick decide to run after him. They went around that corner. What's that sound? Metal ripping. Hulk must be tearing the place up. Reminding him he's Bruce Banner inside didn't help Dr. Freud. And you can see this big crunch. Hey, you were the one who started it. Oh, man, we'll never get past that. This whole thing's been a disaster. The only good thing to come out of it is we know where Betty is now. So, Ramon, hey, I remembered his name. Ramon knocks on the door. Betty, come on, this isn't funny. Betty, I'm coming in now. And so he busts open the bathroom door. Betty, where are you? And Betty is gone. So back in Boulder, he leaves, and so there's that carnival that was from the beginning. At the tree. So, Hulk comes out of the ground here. The little punk can't be far ahead of me. Figures people as squirrely as S.H.I.E.L.D. would have their exits in trees. Look at this. Look at that brow. Look at just... It's one of the best Hulks out there. I understand that they'll key on, but they'll key on Hulk. That was a different version. That was a more clean looking. I mean, so Hulk has had Gary Frank, Dale Keown, John Byrne with a short run, Dale McGuinness, or not Dale, I forgot his name, Ed McGuinness. There's been quite a few people, Mark Sylvester, but a lot of people, like I said, just draw a big strong man. They don't draw a brute, and that is what makes this Hulk way better looking for me, because to me that's what the Hulk is supposed to be. This savage, this brute, and McFarlane just does it, I think, better than a lot of people do. So that carnival from before, that must be where he's hiding. Oh, I hope little Sparky's still around. Where are you flash-fingered freak? He lands in there. So of course all the Felix the Cat's in here. So he sees Hulk coming after him, and he fires at him. And so the kid's gonna run into that fun house, and the Hulk's gonna go after him. Hulk's not impressed, of course. Smashes all these mirrors, and he finally, look at how imposing and menacing is, and showing the kid just kind of being frightened. He's hoping, he says, where's my dad? He'll save me. Please don't hurt me. Should have thought of that sooner. Come here. And he grabs the kid. But as he grabs the kid and the kid starts to cry, Bruce sort of sees himself. Now, this isn't what his father looked like, but that's all right. Todd McFarlane probably didn't do his homework on what Bruce's dad looked like, but so let's just say he imagines his dad, and the kid's just crying. Hulk, you can see it here as he sees his dad. Now he just feels terrible. No, it's okay. It's gonna be okay. It's okay. So, all right. So, we got Clay, Rick, and the guy that's supposed to be the dad here. Okay, we get into the van and track them down. If anything happens to that boy, I'll kill you both. You mean more than has already happened, and suddenly you can tell the Hulk's great panel just smashed with the door coming through. How awesome! Just McFarlane is very clever. I truly wish to God he would still draw. I truly, truly, truly wish that so much. And so we don't have too much left, so let's see if we can wrap this up here. Kid's like, "Hi, Dad. The Hulk said I could go with him, and that if you didn't like it, we could. What was that word again? Level the place," says Hulk. "Yeah, that's right. Level the place." And Rick's like, "Hulk, are you crazy? First, I'm worried that you've killed him, and instead, you've got a protege now. 2 minutes with you, and he's already talking like Mr. T. I don't want to think what even a week with you could do to him." And so Hulk, just again, look how he makes him. Part of how McFarlane makes him so big is that he makes the panels smaller, just so that he looks even bigger. So Hulk is like, "This place may not be much, but it's the closest thing to normalcy he's got. He's got to stay here." "Really? Or what, Jones?" as he points at him. "Or I'll leave. Me and Clay. You and Alex trash the place and go off on your own. And when you're just Bruce Banner and S.H.I.E.L.D. is tired and hungry... Oh, sorry. And when Alex is tired and hungry, then S.H.I.E.L.D. will catch up and they'll just finish you. You threatened to punish me, Jones? Is that the idea?" And the kid's like, "No, Hulk, it's okay. I've decided to stay here, at least for a while. I'm not ready for the outside world yet. I don't want to hurt some innocent person. And sure, I can't bring myself to face my mom yet. And besides, weird as it sounds, I think my dad here really likes me. He'll make things okay for me, won't you, Dad?" And he goes, "Of course. And if you, and he kind of pauses, says, "Son, and if you don't, I'll find you wherever you go." Again, look, even though it's a small panel, look at how Hulk is drawn. Again, look at the head, no neck, the head is lower. So they leave, and so, "Come on, Dad, that they're gone. Let's get you to the hospital for that hand." "Absolutely, Alex, just as soon as I contact my boss." "What was that?" "Oh, nothing, Alex, just reflex. I thought we could come to an understanding, Dad. Now, about my allowance." I love the sequence. Just one big panel, and then just draw everything within that panel here. And then I love the silhouettes. And so we're at the last page now. "Hulk, I wanted to ask you, what made you stop? I mean, not that I'm knocking it, but you stopped from hurting him." And again, look how hulking he looks. And he goes, "None of your business, Jones. You wouldn't understand anyway." And he sits here, kind of, again, look at how imposing he makes him look. Again, the head, he puts him down, the shoulders are above, sort of apish, brutish. So, it's probably better off we left the kid behind. I know how you've said that being around me brings out people and brings out things in some people they'd rather forget they had in them. Well, being near that kid brought out things in me that I'd rather forget. But you never forget Rick. Never. Love the moon. It's not full. It's not crescent. What is this? A gibbous? What? But I like it. And Rick Jones says, "He called me Rick." So, are you ready for what's next issue? I sure am. And we've all seen this cover. We all know who this is. We all know what McFarlane will start inking himself. This issue is the one. McFarlane really becomes a superstar with this coming issue. So, we all see who's next. So, get ready for next week, because Wolverine's coming with one of the best covers of all time